Chair, the live stream is now on.
Great. Looks like we have all the parts working. Good morning, everyone. It's 9:01 in the morning, February 13th, 2026, and welcome to the City and County of Honolulu Climate Change Commission. Cross, if we could start roll call, please.
Yes, Chair, your roll call is as follows. Chair Islam,
Present.
Vice Chair Otsuka,
Present.
Commissioner Romine,
Present.
Commissioner Olson,
Present.
and Commissioner Ma.
Present.
Chair, your roll call is concluded. All members are present and you have quorum.
Great. Thank you so much. I'd just like to acknowledge that we have members of the public attending online on Facebook and also in the conference room. Cross, could you let us know how many people are in our conference room?
We have two, including one of the presenters.
Great, thank you. Okay, we're gonna move on. So the approval of our January 30th, 2026 meeting minutes will get deferred to our March meeting. So look out for that, commissioners. I'm gonna move over to item number 4, which is a report from Dr. Fox, our Chief Resiliency Officer from the city. Dr. Fox?
Thank you so much, Chair. Aloha and good morning, everyone. I have 6 brief updates for today's office activities for February 2026. The first one is just responding back to the severe weather event emergency proclamation that Mayor Blangiardi issued this past weekend. It ordered the closure of all non-essential offices and services throughout the city and county of Honolulu on Monday, February 9th. This is an important opportunity for us to continue to urge everyone to always take the following precautions: conserve water, prepare for your power outages, secure your property, prevent hazards like fires, and limit your outdoor activities, especially when we know there will be these severe winds affecting our islands. There's opportunities for you folks to always stay informed and prepared with us. One of the best ways for that is to always be updated through H&L alerts. Those notifications can come directly to your SMS text messages, and you can also download the app for free. For those of us that were already on that system, we were getting notifications going into the weekend, but especially on that closure day, Monday. The second update for us is an exciting new initiative that we're working on. It is an upcoming Energize Oahu workshop series in February. CCSR is in partnership with the Hawaii Green Infrastructure Authority and HA Sustainability. We're hosting 3 free workshops that connect residents, contractors, workers, and business owners with clean energy jobs and job training opportunities. These Energizing Oahu workshops will be on February 26th and 27th at the Entrepreneur Sandbox. The sessions are free, but we're asking people to register in advance. Commissioners, I have the press release coming into your inbox, and then if you would be so kind as to check your schedule, we'd love for you to attend one or all 3, and then of course any of your staff and your networks would be welcome to join us as well. We are really thankful for the leadership of Gwen Yamamoto Lau and HGIA for helping us to launch this new project and partnership that we hope continues to expand and increase. The next update is I really want to thank the Hazards Program for kicking off a new Lualualei project with the leadership of Dr. Chip Fletcher, who continues to work with CCSR in many different ways. The city has entered into an agreement for project implementation with UH-SOAST and the Coastal Research Collaborative. We're jointly pursuing and have received installation readiness grants from the Office of Local Defense and Community Cooperation. It's a great opportunity for us to strengthen resilience and readiness with communities that don't always have coordination between civilian and military partners. And so for the Lualualei project, we'll be focusing on the Waianae district and major hazards impacting that area. So we hope to share more in the future. And for folks that are familiar with the Ko'olau project, this is a new iteration of that, and we'll continue with some of the lessons learned. And that project will be shared with folks later in the year in one of our commission meetings. The next update is to thank and to congratulate our Coastal and Water Program, who has been leading efforts around our climate financial risk assessment project milestones. We're thanking HRNA advisors for their continued partnership to help guide the city in our understanding of what a comprehensive climate financial risk assessment would look like for Honolulu, and help us come up with funding strategies towards adaptation. We know that this is the beginning of what will be long-term work, but we feel like this is a great place for us to continue to lend our efforts so that the city can plan now and also for years to come. We're excited to announce the next portion in April and May. Our entire city leadership will be dedicated to a round of city town halls. These will be from April 9th to May 21st. You can get updates and details when the locations are announced at honolulu.gov/mayor/town hall. The town halls are required for us as city leadership to be a part of. It gives us an opportunity to hear directly from community members, and we hope that all of you will be able to join us in your own neighborhoods. This is a great opportunity for transparency, communication, and accessibility to the entire leadership team and mayor's cabinet. And then my last formal update for February is a staffing update, and I'd like to congratulate and welcome Crystal, and she'll be stepping into her new role as the city's first ever Climate Resiliency Fund Program Manager. And Crystal's been a valued member of our team for the past year, and at the end of the month, she'll make this formal transition to help lead and manage the city's climate resiliency special funds within CCSR as a new branch of our portfolio. So congratulations to Crystal. You're going to be hearing more from she and I next month at our March Commission meeting, where we'll talk about the fund and our upcoming fiscal year 2027 budget that is on its way to be submitted to council. So we're excited for that milestone as well. And Chair, that's all the formal updates I have for today, and I'd be happy to open it up for any questions that any of you have, and just hope for a prosperous Happy Lunar New Year to everyone.
Thank you so much, Dr. Fox. Excellent update as well. Going to look forward to getting that press release regarding the upgrading training and workshops end of the month. But always excellent news that you're sharing with us. So thank you, and we look forward to hearing you back in March. So commissioners, any comments or questions for Dr. Fox? Commissioner Mall.
Thank you, and I want to echo Chair's comments about what an excellent presentation and update on all the amazing work you're doing. I do have a question. I did see that you were hiring a deputy, and if status has been provided at the last meeting, which unfortunately I missed, I apologize. Is there any updates?
Thank you, Commissioner Ma. So I did open up the formal executive search process in January. And the process is still underway. It will be, it's about a 6-part process, because the nomination goes to the mayor, and then the process is, it's pretty formal after that. So I'll be coming to the team with more updates as the project, the process for having the deputy come on board gets underway.
Thank you.
Commissioner Romine?
Thank you. Thanks, Director Fox, for those updates. I had one question about the Coastal and Waterways programs work on their financial risk assessment. Can you say a little bit more about the timeline for that study, when you expect it to be completed? Thank you.
Yeah. So this study is a multi-part study with HRNA advisors. And so the great area that we've been in for the past couple of weeks is transitioning from task 3 into task 4. And this has been an opportunity for our Coastal and Water program led by Alex to provide an update. And so he was able to bring HRNA here to provide updates directly to city leadership, including 14 agencies. And so where the task 4 timeline goes from here is actually in development. We just met yesterday, but do expect more updates within the next 6 months.
Great. Commissioner Olson?
Yeah, thank you. That was a wealth of information. You have a very busy office. It's so exciting. I look forward to reading more about the Lualuale project, and I will go onto the website and find some of that information. But the other study that you talked about was the funding strategies for adaptation. Is there a document that I can review? I'm very curious about what this looks like and whether the city and county is like tapped into the new green fee funding, or is this larger sources of funding?
Yeah, great question. So I'll answer first part of it. Commissioner Olson, the city was not named in any of the green fee project recommendations for their first year of funding. We did submit numerous city projects that we thought would be a fabulous fit. We're all within all three of the domains of the green fee, and unfortunately, none of those projects have moved forward. So right now, our administration is continuing to work not only with the Green Fee Advisory Council, but we're watching the budget bills within the state along the way, because this is, you know, a regulatory process, and we want to make sure that we're learning from the Green Fee's first year. But this project is very specific. Our city's climate financial risk is really based off of our own, as you know, expenditures and what we can plan for the losses ahead. And I'd be happy for Alex to reach out to you directly so that we can share a little bit more, because this is definitely one of those areas that falls squarely within your expertise and wheelhouse. And I know that myself and the rest of the team would really like to be able to get some of your insights, especially before we go into this next task, and definitely before we wrap project reports of this type.
Great. I would love that.
Awesome.
Great. Thank you. Cross?
Thank you, Chair. Sorry, I need to fix the transcript really quickly, so I may announce that we're recording again, but I have everything so far. Just wanted to let you
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Any questions, comments from the public for Director Fox? Any comments, questions online, Cross, or in the room?
Any questions?
Great.
No,
Thank you.
Chair.
Okay. Awesome. Well, again, thank you, Dr. Fox, Director Fox. I do both. We love hearing from you. We'll all be in touch. Continue the great work, and Happy New Year. Okay, so moving on to our new business agenda. We are continuing our conversation about the state's alternative fuel plan and the conversation regarding LNG. So we're going to move to our first presenter. I want to welcome the Sierra Club, Wayne Tanaka and Anika June from the Institute of Energy Economics and Financial Analysis. They will be presenting their presentation and having a discussion on liquid natural gas as Hawaii's next fossil fuel. So welcome, Wayne and Anika. I don't know who has a screen, but Cross, I think you're in charge.
Yes, Chair. Here's Wayne.
Okay. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much, Chair, Director Dr. Fox, and the commission members, and all of you for this opportunity to share with you about our concerns regarding the our concerns regarding the proposal to kind of pivot us towards methane or liquefied natural gas LNG as a bridge fuel. Before I start, I do want to introduce Anika June. So Anika is energy data analyst with the Institute for Energy Economics and Financial Analysis. Her expertise is in data analysis, spatial data analysis, and cartography. And in her research at IEFA has to do with fossil hydrogen development and storage, as well as issues with carbon capture and so forth. So just like me, we both have a really hard time explaining to people what we actually do, but she's definitely like a wealth of information expertise, especially in hydrogen. So thank you very much, Anika, for joining us today. So I will, let's see, what can you see? All right, you see that, okay. Oh, just a scroll, okay, I got it. Okay, so I'm going to kind of skip ahead to, I guess where folks probably left off a couple of weeks ago, but we do have this alternative fuels report from the Hawaii State Energy Office. It does suggest that we should pivot towards methane or LNG as a bridge fuel to meet our 2045 clean emissions goals. And it concludes that, if we do use methane, we're going to have, it could reduce our global warming potential by 30% over the next couple of decades. It'll be cheaper in terms of the current cost of relying on residual fuel oil. Under one of their scenarios, we would save about $150 million over this transition period if we were to use pivot towards methane. And then, the technology has been around long enough to be scalable, and there's also potential for private investment, including from corporations like JERA, and that name will come up again. But to its credit, the HSCO report does pretty clearly acknowledge that all of these conclusions and outcomes can vary significantly depending on the kinds of assumptions that you apply. And so it sounds oh yeah, sorry. And so to get to that goal of using LNG as a bridge fuel, we're going to have to retrofit our oil burning plants to use methane as well as hydrogen and biodiesel, right? So a big part of the cost analysis depends upon the technology being available to switch between methane and green hydrogen, which is what it envisions as our off-ramp off this bridge. And so if you see in this graph that blue bar on the left-hand thing in the graph, that's the cost savings from having this interchangeable turbine technology, which currently doesn't exist. And then we would have to also drop about $1.4 billion in infrastructure investments. So bring in what's called a floating storage and regasification unit, or FSRU, to be stationed off of Capital Industrial Park, and of course all of the mooring infrastructure, as well as miles and miles of subsea and onshore pipelines. So it sounds good, right? So we're going to save money. We're going to have a reliable source of firm energy, and then we'll theoretically have less global warming impact than the status quo we have right now. But again, the HSCO report acknowledges there are a lot of assumptions baked in there. And then looking at those assumptions and looking at some other missing pieces, it has given rise to a few concerns that we'd like to share with you today. So, for the first, the cost benefit, just because this is, I think, top of mind for folks, like you want to save your electrical bills, right? You have the highest energy costs in the country. It relies upon this $1.4 billion infrastructure investment being offset by cost savings, right? So under the ideal scenario 1A, where we do transition 2045, we'll save about $150 million, which is about 11% return, right? So, which is a kind of a small margin. So if you look at other major capital improvement projects that the government has undertaken in Hawaii, from rail that more than doubled from 5 billion to 12 million, the Alawai Canal flood control project, that quintupled, more than quintupled from initial estimates of 173 million to 1 billion. Same, prison doubled, Kulani High School doubled in costs. And so if you see it, and this is just like a sampling, right? There's myriad other examples of cost overruns in major projects. And so if we do see anything like this, that those cost savings not only disappear, they potentially could put us, in the hole by hundreds of millions of dollars or more. And the way that these energy deals tend to work out is, even if JERA were to invest up front the cost of this infrastructure, and they're going to want to recover that over time, and so ultimately it's going to be ratepayers that foot the bill if and when we do see these kinds of cost overruns. And that's just the cost overruns. So what if something happens, right? So JERA, as been mentioned earlier, they had a LNG plant fire in Freeport that cost them about $751 million. We've seen these floating storage and regasification units across Europe and Asia be shut down or disconnected for the better part, shut down for better parts of a year, or just disconnected because of maintenance issues, because of weather events, just because of economics, volatility of FSRUs, and volatility of LNG, and supply chain issues and so forth. And Japan and China actually don't use these FSRUs as is being proposed for Hawaii because of the maintenance costs and reliability issues. And so I think for all of us, we need to think about what happens if there is a earthquake or a tsunami or a hurricane, a fire, human error like we saw at Red Hill, then what happens, right? It's gonna definitely result in even further costs that we may be on the hook for, as well as disruptions to whatever firm energy that LNG provides. So that's kind of like the cost analysis. I kind of wanted to look also to concerns regarding the global warming analysis in the HSO report. I don't have to tell you, methane is super bad for our climate, right? It has 80 times the global warming potential over a 20-year time frame than CO2. And it's a gas, so it's volatile, right? It wants to like just be a gas and escape, right? So from every step in the process, from fracking it or to processing, liquefying, shipping, storing, all the way to burning, it's notorious for just hemorrhaging methane into the atmosphere. And because so just a small amount of leaks can have really big impacts. And because methane is again so bad for our climate, we actually, what climate scientists are telling us that, and I'm sorry, you probably know this, but we need to drastically reduce our use and release of methane into the atmosphere. In the energy sector, the estimates that we have to drop our methane reduction, we have to reduce our methane emissions by 75% by the end of the decade, rather than adopting and using even more of this fossil fuel. And the HSC report does recognize there's a large variability in how much methane is released through a supply chain, depending on where you're sourcing it, the kinds of best management practices that they utilize, and so yeah, and so in some scenarios, while you might have some emission savings, some scenarios it could actually have increases in emissions, right? And just wanted to look at just to point out that in the HSC report, it derives its emission savings by comparing burning LNG in like new LNG facilities to burning residual fuel oil in the current, admittedly old and outdated power plants that we currently have. If you compare LNG in new facilities to upgraded power plants, use compliant combined cycle turbines, for example, you save like half of those emission savings disappear, right? So it's not as rosy of an outlook as it would appear based on the way the HSC report compares LNG to the status quo. And then if you compare LNG to also having a renewable portfolio, then that reduces the savings even further. And then the HSC report has been criticized for having really optimistic view of methane leakage rates. There's other analyses that show that the greenhouse gas footprint of methane is much higher. And then if you look at, and even the HSCO's consultant Fact Solar Energy, they say, you can source methane by saying we don't want anything from fracking sources, or they want cleaner sources of methane, but they admit that that's probably going to be more expensive. And I did want to take a moment to let Annika share any other insights she may have, since this is kind of her area of expertise.
Yeah, thank you so much, Wayne. You did a really great job going through a lot of these details, and I'll just reiterate that the life cycle emissions analysis that was produced by the HSEO office it's really thorough. They spent a lot of time really digging into the details, assessing the quality of some of the fixed parameters, and did an impressive job. And the report flagged a few of the key issues related to life cycle analyses of the fossil-based power generation. First, most of the emissions are related to combustion and wasted heat. And second, upstream methane leakage is a key driver of overall carbon intensity, just like you mentioned, Wayne. And there's a lot of variability in both observed and calculated emissions at that life cycle step. And what's difficult to know and control is whether it is possible to even source or accurately identify the lower carbon intensity sources of natural gas that the report suggests would be available. There are programs that allow producers to, quote, certify that they have low emissions pipelines and are identifying and repairing leaks, but the programs are not currently widespread, so they don't actually currently account for a lot of natural gas supply. And they also carry a price premium, which will obviously fluctuate depending on demand. Meanwhile, about 20% of the natural gas extracted in the US comes from the Permian Basin, which is an area that's been shown to have leakage rates, like actual leakage rates, above 9%. So it's a bit of a gamble there to depend on the availability of low emissions natural gas. But the larger issue is that even tinkering with sourcing methane from producers with better control over leakage, there's still only a marginal amount of emissions reductions possible, because most of the emissions are in the combustion phase of fossil fuels and are amplified by that associated heat loss that's involved in any kind of thermal power generation. So at the end of the day, meaningful reductions in greenhouse gas emissions can only come when fossil fuel-based systems are replaced with renewables plus storage.
Thank you, Annika. Yeah, so again, emission savings from Hawaii pivoting to LNG is, maybe not to Garen's, maybe not as optimistic, or we don't necessarily share the same optimism as the HSC report. But taking a step back and looking at what also has been proposed. So in October, the governor signed an agreement with JERA, which is a Japanese methane supplier. I think it's important to note that JERA has, it claims to be trying to help us move towards a more sustainable future. But if you look at the actual energy portfolio, what they've reported, 97% of the portfolio is still in fossil fuels. And so what, given that, what's really concerning in this agreement that the governor signed is that, one, it envisions Hawaii helping create a curriculum to educate other island nations in the Pacific about energy, right? With JERA bringing its expertise. So essentially, Hawaii leading the way for adoption of methane, across the Pacific, and for me, the emissions implications of that, even if we save on emissions to Hawaii, like we may be seeing much greater emissions just from facilitating the spread of methane across the Pacific, across Oceania. Other concerning things in the JERA agreement is, this idea that we're going to have a coalition of stakeholders to execute on state energy policy. So essentially, and this coalition and among the other provisions in the agreement is going to be led by a steering committee with the State Energy Office, JERA, and industry. So essentially, we're envisioning creating a political arm of a fossil fuel giant and their stakeholder friends. And so all that together really, for me, raises concerns that instead of helping reduce methane use and development as we need to head off the climate crisis, we're actually stepping on the gas, which is very concerning as someone who wants our kids to have a survivable future. And then thinking about the transition issues, right? So JERA, again, it puts itself out there as like a trying to pursue sustainable energy, but when you look at their actions, they've been really criticized. And IEFA has great background research going back several years about JERA kind of undermining or derailing national global climate goals. Essentially their strategy, instead of investing in renewable, is to kind of dump their methane across Asia and now the continent in the Pacific. They have this they put forward this idea of co-firing ammonia and hydrogen as a less dirty way to generate energy, but of course it still utilizes fossil fuels, and it's again kind of been outed as essentially greenwashing. Yeah, and then looking at the in terms of the economics of this supposed transition so this graph is it's on the HSCO landing page. It's alternative 3A. So this is where LNG displaces renewable and sources like solar and biodiesel. And it's a lot bigger return, but to get this return, we're going to have to essentially buy and burn 1 million tons of LNG per year. And that's so much LNG that we're essentially displacing, again, renewable like solar. And that would essentially disincentivize renewable development. Because why build solar farms when we're going to just be using LNG anyways, right? And this is all tied to the economics of LNG. Like you have to buy a lot to justify what's called the gasification tariffs that makes the costs go down. And beyond that, bringing LNG to Hawaii is going to be a major regulatory undertaking, right? So it already takes, years just to get a solar project off the ground. If the PUC, if the BLNR, if all the regulatory agencies are tied up overseeing this pivot to LNG, that's that much less resources that will be available to help facilitate a transition to a truly renewable 2045. And then, as I mentioned, the vision of having a political arm led by JERA and industry to use its connections and economic and political clout to guide energy policy in Hawaii, that doesn't fill me with confidence that that's going to help the transition. In fact, it can pretty easily foresee this political arm doing what it can to keep us locked into a dependency on the industry's products, right? Imported fossil fuels. And then in terms of the technological aspects of transition, the HSC report envisions us transitioning to green hydrogen, which has essentially been called out as a way for the fossil fuel industry to continue doing its thing. And I'd like to also invite Annika to kind of maybe share some more insights about this green hydrogen idea.
Yeah, thank you. I think it's a really important thing to kind of think about the availability of this particular product to support this large scale power generation transition that this report is describing. So the availability of these volumes of green hydrogen is really a big question mark. Right now, if you aren't under contract for hydrogen from a green facility, it's going to be really difficult to source that fuel in the future. The effective elimination of the 45V clean hydrogen production tax credit means that there's going to be a very limited supply of green hydrogen in the future. And that market, if it exists, will be very small. Because projects that are proceeding and are likely to meet that shortened start construction deadline in order to even access 45V credits, they're only doing so because they have firm long-term off-takers already. A feature of the current hydrogen and ammonia landscape is that projects are not proceeding without sorting out off-take agreements for most of the product. And project proponents are not gambling on selling their future product on an open market. So without the carrot of the Section 45 subsidies to make cheaper hydrogen or a stick of GHG emissions reduction goals, demand is just not materializing for this fuel. And with weak demand, investment decisions are faltering. So at the state level, there's a little bit of variability. California in particular is proceeding with its own plan to grow a hydrogen-based fuel ecosystem. And it's possible that Hawaii could source California green hydrogen. However, it's still an open question whether there will be any sufficient supply to be had at a future point at which the power plants and other facilities have been constructed or retrofitted, and they're actually ready to accept large percentages of hydrogen in order to create these blended fuel mixes. And beyond the substantial questions around future supply, there are also a lot of issues with the use of hydrogen as a fuel that make it a really poor solution to the problem of decarbonization in the power sector in particular. Hydrogen, it's a tiny slippery molecule. It doesn't want to stay put. It tends to leak. Some estimates put the leakage rate of hydrogen at up to 10%, and that depends on the features of the management chain. Moving hydrogen by ship is really complicated and expensive because of the compression required to hold the hydrogen. And there are significant losses that occur every time the gas is transferred from pipeline to ship to bunker, et cetera. And the lower heating value of the gas means that more of it needs to be moved around and imported in order to meet the fuel demand. So just as a basic comparison, you'd need 15 ships of compressed hydrogen gas to equal 1 tanker of LNG. So that's kind of the energy equivalent. So in terms of thinking about moving around the volumes of this gas in order to satisfy the energy needs, it adds up quickly. And the greenhouse gas emissions reductions that are possible with hydrogen blended into the power generation system is also really problematic. IEFA recently published a paper evaluating the idea of co-firing methane co-firing with hydrogen. And for every percentage increase in hydrogen in the fuel supply to a gas-fired power plant, there is not a commensurate decrease in emissions. It's not a one-to-one. In fact, it would take a 50% hydrogen blend to achieve just a 24% reduction in emissions. And this doesn't even include any upstream emissions or downstream leakage. This is just combustion in a turbine. So given the potential future cost of green hydrogen, particularly if it's imported, it's an extremely expensive plan that would have a weak impact on actually meeting the strong decarbonization goals that Hawaii has. And it's important to consider that hydrogen gas is also a climate warming forcer. It doesn't function exactly the same as CO2 in the atmosphere, but it has a substantial impact on warming. And current estimates place the GWP of hydrogen, the global warming potential, around 30. That means it's 30 times more potent than carbon dioxide on a 20-year time horizon. And depending on the volumes at play and the supply chain features, hydrogen could add a substantial amount to the carbon footprint of the the fuel that's going into the power generation sector. Unfortunately, I'll just flag, I don't know if anyone on the call actually worked on the life cycle modeling, but hydrogen is usually omitted from carbon intensity calculations in the US. This is true of the GREET model, which I think the folks who prepared that HSEO report spent quite a bit of time using. And I'll also add that one way to look at the utility of using some of these products in an energy generation system is to look at their efficiency. Paul Martin, he's a chemical engineer who used to work in the energy industry, and he's a founding member of the Hydrogen Science Coalition. He's done some great work calculating efficiencies for various proposed hydrogen production and management chains. He finds the producing electrolytic hydrogen, green hydrogen, and shipping leaves available only about a third of the energy originally used. So that means in the course of producing the hydrogen and moving it around and all of the energy required to compress and control the hydrogen, you lose 70% of the energy that you could have had just directly from the renewables that you started with. And for all these reasons, there's been a lot of attention given to ammonia as a more easily managed hydrogen carrier model. But the energy penalty for taking renewable power generation resources to make hydrogen, turn the hydrogen into ammonia, ship it, then crack it back to hydrogen for electricity production, leaves only 17%. Just 17% of the original energy is usable as electricity at the end. So a much more efficient use for renewable generation would, rather than make green hydrogen and move it around, would be to simply put that into electrification. And if there is excess, it would be really useful to use that to charge batteries.
Yeah, thank you, Annika. And I'll just add, also on the technological end, hydrogen and methane they're not the same. They're both gases, but hydrogen's like that on the top left of the elemental table, right? It's like really small, so you need to keep it really, really cold. Like you have to really engineer things differently if you want to burn hydrogen versus LNG. And again, what the plan requires on the cost analysis side is for our new retrofitted oil plants to go from, burning methane to burning pure hydrogen, which, again, that technology is just, we just don't have that right now. And then maybe taking a little closer look at here in Hawaii, there are some other concerns that aren't addressed in the HS report, right? So methane itself, when sunlight hits it, it breaks down into ozone, which can cause all kinds of respiratory issues. LNG includes other additives like benzene and toluene and so forth, and those kinds of things can cause other health issues, organ damage, and so forth. And so it's created a lot of concern in the communities that live around LNG facilities, which again is going to be like the oil plants and the pipelines running through West Oahu. There's also the issue of fire because methane is a gas. It's a gas, right? So it's a lot more volatile, and so it has a propensity, much more. It'll catch on fire a lot easier in its gas form, and especially if there's major leaks, or if there's a leak in there. And I mentioned the fire in Freeport. There are other fires that happen in other places. Also, last 2 Tuesdays ago, a pipeline in Louisiana exploded. They had to shut the school down, and and this was a sea to shore pipeline carrying LNG. And it's not, unfortunately, I couldn't put it in this slideshow, but I would Google gas pipeline in Louisiana, and you'll see all the news reports about that. And also too on the global level, right? So LNG, when you extract it, frack it, or whatever, and store it and ship it, like generally you're going to be exposed, like the folks that are being exposed to the leaks and so forth. It's going to be frontline communities, and it's just how unfortunately things have been set up. And we can't watch this video, but you just have to imagine, methane's invisible to the naked eye, but with special cameras, you can actually see where it is in the atmosphere. And if you Google oilfield witness, you'll have videos of them just filming LNG facilities, and just clouds and clouds and clouds of like purple methane and benzene and so forth, like leaking all of them. And so that's kind of like the reality that we'll be forcing upon the folks that live. They're already dealing with all kinds of environmental injustice issues with our current energy fossil fuel energy facilities. And then I did want to kind of reflect on again, like some of the issues of the challenges we face today. Some would say that's because we kind of have a monopoly of sorts that with a corporation that's publicly traded, in other words, obligated to look out for its shareholders. versus doing things like investing in maintenance and upgrades and renewable development. So having JERA be our next supplier of fossil fuels, it kind of perpetuates this dependency on foreign fossil fuels, foreign imports, in this case, a foreign corporation that will have significant influence over islands. And especially if, as the HSCO director has been indicating, JERA, is interested in acquiring HEI, then that makes the question of whether and how we'll actually transition, that much more. It just raises that much more questions about whether and how we actually transition. I did want to point out some, I think this is a second last slide. Rather than there are alternatives, right? So first, I think all of this is driven by the idea that we can't hit 100% renewable with the current technology for Oahu by 2045, which is fair, right? But we can still, if we can still aim for 80% or plan for what we know now, and then in 10 years, maybe the technology will catch up, right? So we should just invest in renewables directly. And potentially even, for me, if we want to lead in the climate sphere as we put ourselves out to as Hawaii, like, what if instead of investing $1.4 billion or $2 billion in fossil fuels, we invest that in R&D for storage, which is where the, a lot of the constellation is coming from, right? We could actually lead, truly lead in creating a sustainable, renewable future, not just for ourselves, but for places, everywhere, right? And that's unfortunately something that's, I think, missing from this LNG conversation. So in conclusion, the HSC report does have a very, optimistic outlook, but there are underlying assumptions, and including regards to the cost savings. And in fact, if any of these assumptions just tweak just a little bit, we're going to see way more. We're going to see significant liabilities for ratepayers, which is, as we know, is probably going to be disproportionately burdensome on our low-income households. There's also other issues with environmental justice, energy dependency and versus independence or renewable transition, as well as local public health and safety issues. And essentially the political and the economic and the technological realities that we're seeing, and just the lack of an actual plan to transition off of LNG suggests to me that if we do, pot commit to this pivot to LNG, we're going to be potentially locked into this foreign fossil fuel dependency indefinitely, right? Or at least until the climate crisis kills us. And then also too, if you look at what's envisioned in the JERA agreement, it's not just looking at Hawaii pivoting, it's looking at helping JERA sell and market its methane across Oceania, which could, make our dire situation even that much worse. And so, as an alternative, we would just, suggest that we move towards investing in demand reduction, investing in direct renewable development and research and not go on this detour to LNG that could, again, last, that bridge really does not seem to have an end. So that's it for the presentation. I did want to open up for any questions in case folks have notes on information that we just shared with you.
Great. Thank you, Wayne and Annika. That was an excellent presentation. I just want to share to the public our process. So we will open up for questions and comments from the commissioners, the Resiliency Office first, and then to the public. So commissioners, would anyone like to start the conversation? If not, okay, go ahead, Dr. Olson.
Sure. Thank you very much. And thank you so much to both Dr. Tanaka and Dr. June for their incredible presentation. I was furiously scribbling notes the whole way, so forgive me if I have 3 distillations, which I'd just like to make sure I understood correctly. So from your analysis, we are unlikely to meet the emissions reductions that are claimed in the report by HSCO if we follow the pathway they set out. Is that correct?
Yes. I don't know if Annika, if you wanted to add any.
Yeah, I think ultimately, if the objective is to get to zero, it's not possible to do it on a fossil-based system. So if there are fossil-based fuels in the system, in the mix, or there are derived products like ammonia or hydrogen that are produced from fossil fuels, then it will be very difficult, if not impossible, to get to zero at any point.
Yeah, and I'll just,
Okay.
I'll just add that yeah, I mean, I don't think we have the same optimism as the report and the assumptions they're relying upon for emissions reductions and the false comparisons and so forth, but also the bigger picture of, being the foothold for JERA in Oceania to spread methane across Pacific. I mean, that in itself, I think will create much more, for me, it kind of raises significant concerns about the emissions implications of this plan overall.
Thanks. Similarly, we're unlikely to achieve the cost savings that are anticipated in the report. Is that another fair conclusion?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just cost overruns alone, like 11% cost overrun, and we're cooked. There's no technology to switch smoothly from LNG to hydrogen, which is a big part of the cost savings. Again, like if we look at other places, like cautionary tales from other places, like they've beyond just cost overruns, there's maintenance and issues and vulnerability to extreme weather events. And so the kinds of things that we're going to be seeing more and more frequently in the next couple of decades, and that's going to create even more cost issues.
Yeah, I'll just point out too, looking at project finance, the inflation for commodities, essential commodities for these large projects, are those inflation rates for those products are different than just your average consumer inflation figures. And so inflation rates for things like steel components, I mean, they're in the double digits over a single year. And that is before the impact of tariffs even. So in terms of looking at these project estimates, it's really important to look at estimates that are, even if they're a year old, if they're 2 years old, it's important to be looking at updated estimates and really get those pinned down and get your head around what are the actual costs given current materials and essential commodity prices. There's also an issue with turbine availability. There is a question of, even having a turbine that can accommodate LNG and then a certain blend of hydrogen. To get even a basic gas burning turbine, the wait time is 8 years right now, because GE Vernova is they got burned earlier by overproducing in a time of high demand, and then they lost a lot of money when that demand evaporated. So right now, it's very difficult to even buy a turbine in order to get it into your facility. So just looking at so sometimes project cost estimates are pretty general. So if you are looking at cost issues, and if your margin is just 11%, I would be looking very closely at those numbers.
Yeah, our track record of cost overruns, I could speak from my personal home renovation, are quite high. So okay, and kind of and I know we have another presentation that's going to get us into, well, what else could we do? What are our other options, right? And I'm looking forward to that. But ultimately, what I heard you say is that this really makes us less energy self-sufficient than other alternatives that were really linked to international supply chains that are potentially incredibly volatile.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think you really hit the nail on the head there, that when you're looking offshore for solutions to your energy needs, that you will continue bumping up against those problems. Absolutely.
Thank you very much for your presentations. That's all I have for now.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Olson. Commissioner Romine?
Thanks, Chair, and thank you, Wayne and Annika, for that great presentation. I have a question that kind of relates to some of the stuff in the chat here. I'm just wondering, and I could do some research on this, but maybe you can briefly just summarize where we stand in regards to this agreement with JERA, the governor's action, what comes next as far as the needs for follow-on legislation, permitting, environmental assessment? What's the process from here on out? Might help inform us
Yeah.
where we can, like, interject and get involved in that process. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a great question. So there is I haven't seen any legislation that I feel like is targeted specifically at facilitating LNG. There's a bill, HB 1568, that originally drafted would prohibit any import of LNG to Hawaii. It's been amended to not totally close the door LNG, but requires certain things like you only use how much fossil fuels as you absolutely need, and guarantees about cost impacts on islands and so forth. So I mean, the way I read it, it just makes the plan unworkable, which is for me really good way of like pinpointing all a number of the weaknesses in the proposal in terms of the process, right? So they're going to need they're almost certainly going to need PUC approval. So like depending on how they make the arrangements, and they put RFPs for power purchase agreement or something. So a PUC is going to be involved. Anything in the ocean and state waters is going to require a conservation district use permit. They're going to need shoreline management area permits when they land these pipelines on shore. Potential other land use entitlements you're going to need to pursue, but they haven't really they haven't applied for any permits yet, right? So my understanding is the PR firms they've hired and the lobbying firm they've hired, that JERA's hired, is like essentially socializing the idea more, and trying to sell people on this idea that we're going to save money if we use LNG, right? And kind of I think lay the groundwork before they start moving towards getting actual regulatory approvals.
Great, thank you for that. Yeah.
Thank you. Kirsten, could I ask one question before I go back to you? If that's fine. Okay. Wayne and Annika, thank you so much for the great presentation. I appreciate the discussion about the transition plan from LNG to green hydrogen and really kind of talking about market viability, right? I think that's a really important case. I also appreciate you bringing up California. They have been, in my opinion, kind of a leader in the US American market in terms of looking at a combined fuel cell and BESS storage systems. Related to the piece on really kind of load reduction, right? Looking at district solutions, energy storage. Do you think there's viability of looking at green hydrogen production from an on-site perspective in the islands if we look at more district solutions? And if so, what would that entail? Because I have done sort of some of my own research on hydrogen. I just to give you personal anecdote, I was a hydrogen driver of a car until it was off market. So I was quite interested in what that could be from a carbon emission reduction standpoint. So I'm still very curious on that. And so I'm curious to hear your thoughts on the viability of creating more on-site district solutions, really as kind of the pathway. I feel those are kind of pathways really for island communities, because we have to think more about sort of our singular ecosystem as one resilient place versus relying consistently on importing sort of, all sources of goods into our economy. So curious on your thoughts of that.
Yeah, can I just jump in there, Wayne? Okay. So yeah, from, a life cycle basis, like kind of evaluating just the reasonableness of moving ahead with that kind of approach. The math I have done says that it's better to, if you have renewable capacity, because to produce all of this hydrogen, you need a whole lot of renewables, right? And so the math just works out better to put that renewable electricity into electrified systems, because then you don't have the conversion losses, you don't have the storage problems. Fuel cells are kind of an interesting area. There may be some specific applications for those, but by and large, battery storage is really coming along. And I think that the speed at which battery capacity and efficiency and scalability is moving, it is moving faster and moving ahead more quickly than this hydrogen based plan. So I think hydrogen started out as kind of this niche area, and it just hasn't gained a foothold for all kinds of reasons. So I think cost and efficiency wise, if somebody's going to go about building a whole bunch of renewables, then just put those into electrified systems and batteries. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, it
Okay.
confirms some of my your thinking. So thank you. Yeah. Wayne?
And I'll just add Facts Global Energy, the consultant that HSEO contracted, like they don't see domestic production of hydrogen as viable. Yeah, and then they even see hydrogen, like, in their opinion, like green hydrogen is better suited for like transportation, like trucks and cars and so forth versus the grid, and they recommend using renewables for the grid. So I mean, yeah, that's a state's contractor.
Great. Thank you, Wayne. I'm going to go to Dr. Olson and then Dr. Fox.
Great, thank you. Wayne, you said something earlier that triggered a memory. I did my PhD with a woman who did her PhD on social movements against LNG facilities. And you mentioned that a lot of these facilities would likely be out on the west side of Oahu. And I know your organization often gives voice to those who don't have one necessarily in the political process. So can you talk a little bit about the environmental justice issues of this proposal?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so the proposal is to essentially retrofit our existing oil plants, which, as we know, are located, west, well, like essentially, are burdening, our folks out on the west side of the island. And while burning oil is terrible, it's bad, it's terrible. And there's a question in the chat I'd like to address it at some point, but it's not like burning methane is, or having this methane facility is healthy in any way, right? There's again, they're notorious for leakage rates. When a trade wind's dying, you're going to see potentially a lot more ozone like accumulating in these regions, and that carries a lot of health consequences. And also too, when you look at what's happening in other places that have these LNG facilities, really concerning ecosystem impacts, right? So in the Gulf, they've seen a 90% reduction in shrimp catches. In the Philippines, a 98% reduction in fisheries catches. So it's doing something to the ecosystem that I think is particularly significant for the Hawaiian community, and to the extent they're going to position this thing off of Campo Industrial, then there's impacts of fisheries there that folks rely on. And then of course the fire hazard, and it's just there's one, and maybe sometimes one. There's not a lot of ways out of West Oahu, right? So if there's a fire, that's a big concern that we're also wrestling with in other arenas.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Olson and Wayne. Dr. Fox, is it okay if I go to Commissioner Otsuka and then to you? Okay.
Yes, and then I just saw Commissioner Ma had a flag too. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Fox. Commissioner Otsuka?
Yeah, hi Wayne, hi Anika, thanks so much for coming to present to us. Wayne, I just wanted to tell you thank you for bringing up demand reduction. That's something I had brought up at our previous meeting with the State Energy Office, that I would really like for the state to consider what does an investment in demand reduction look like, and sort of compare that to some of the scenarios and projections that they prepared in their report. My regular job is I'm a transportation planner, and some of the assumptions in the Energy Office report said that we need to invest in LNG because we'll see a huge demand in electricity. We'll see a huge increase in demand for electricity because we're trying to push everybody towards driving an electric car. And so what I had said at that meeting, and what I want to reiterate here today, is what would a big investment look like in providing better transportation options for residents? I know that in my work that we do, we engage with the public a lot, and we ask them, what are your priorities? What do you want your transportation future to look like? What should we be investing in? And people overwhelmingly want safe, convenient, comfortable places to walk, bike, and they want more convenient transit. So if we took all the money that we're trying to invest in an LNG plant and invested in better transportation options invested in more walkable and livable communities, like thinking about what are our other options, and do we have to live with the assumption that our electricity demand is going to increase substantially, that we need this other huge investment in more firm energy. So I just wanted to highlight that, and I'm just really happy that we're also talking about what does demand reduction look like, and do we need to invest in this LNG plant to feed our huge demand or projected demand increase for energy. So that's all.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, unfortunately, I think the way Oahu was developed, the era we thought oil would be free or would be cheap, and abundant forever, and so we, just architecturally, like we haven't designed our buildings infrastructure to, take advantage of the trade winds and natural cooling things, for example. There are bills to kind of reduce demand in the legislature this year, and I don't have all of them. I know Earthjustice, which litigated the Navahine case and came out with a settlement, like they've been tracking a bunch, so they would be good folks to reach out to regarding some of those initiatives. But yeah, no, I think I mean, I haven't crunched the numbers, but I feel like it would be a fraction of that $1.4 billion just to give like free bus passes to everybody. Like we're using too much energy now, especially in Oahu. Something has to be done about that. Absolutely.
Great. Commissioner Ma.
Thank you, Chair. I had two follow-up questions from Commissioner Olson and Commissioner Romine's questions. Thank you for presenting today and last time. And thank you for sharing the harms to health and the ecosystem that could possibly develop. For the harms to the ecosystem health, is there a time frame which this could arise? That you've seen based on the research? And also, is there a particular ask of the commission based on your presentation? Is there something that the commission can do, or individual commissioners or people listening to your presentation that you are asking or requesting assistance with? Thank you.
Excellent questions. Thank you, Commissioner Ma. I don't know if Annika has any insight as to the timeline of impacts, but I mean, when there'll be impacts from the construction. They're going to have to moor this 300-meter long facility offshore, right? So that's going to be direct impacts to the methane environment, and the subsea pipelines and so forth. And over time, we're going to, to the extent we bring methane in and it starts leaking all over the place, that's going to have, impacts, throughout the timeline. And if there's something that happens like a hurricane or a human error or a fire, then that's going to have, punctuated, potentially extreme impacts. So it's harder yeah, I mean, it's describe the timeline, but there's a lot of potential across time for things to happen. I would, I mean, beyond supporting HB 1568, we need the Consumer Protection Committee in the House to schedule a hearing for it. I think just telling people about what you've heard today, there's some of the most powerful PR firms in town. I mean, to be frank, have been retained by LNG industry, and they're doing, as I said, they're socializing, they're talking to business leaders, they're talking to the Hawaiian community, and trying to sell everyone on this idea. And isn't it just a handful of us guys that are trying to show people that there's actual problems and concerns with this plan. So any help spreading the word, and what I'd really love is any opportunity to talk to any of the other groups you may be affiliated with it, or networks, or or clubs, like any opportunity that I might be able to discuss what's going on with folks. I would really, whether it's grassroots community groups or even like business community leaders or legislators you may be attached to, yeah, that would be tremendously helpful.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Commissioner Ma. Dr. Fox.
Thanks, Chair. Mahalo, Director Tanaka and Annika for looking at the issue so comprehensively and through many lenses of your expertise areas and your backgrounds. My question is to help us gain insight on why these various factors can be so complicated without any easy or swift solution. And so essentially, I guess my question to you both is why, with emerging technologies expanding into new geographic areas and in untested local economies, such as the city and county of Honolulu, why would it be important for Oahu to thoroughly assess the potential of a wide range of opportunities and a wide range of risks when planning for our island's future economic, environmental, and community development? I think you're speaking to a lot of it, and I think it's really helpful for us to understand at the city level for this island why we need to think about this through the ecosystem that you've presented today, and it needs to be very comprehensive.
Do you want to start, Wayne, or do you want me to jump in?
You can jump in. I'm gonna
All right.
reflect. That's a really good question.
It is such a good question. Like, you're looking at it from this kind of you're standing back and you're looking at the situation. You're thinking, why is it so complicated? It seems like it should be more straightforward. I think what we hear a lot from industry is telling us a lot about these sort of last mile solutions. They're saying, well, you'll never get to, we've got to invest in, direct air capture because we need to get more CO2 out of the atmosphere. So we need to put all this money in direct air capture. Well, really, there are things that we can do with reasonable amounts of investment, some with no investment at all, and we can get ourselves to about 80% decarbonization right now, today. And it's through those things that Wayne talked about: reducing demand, increasing efficiency, electrification, improving storage systems like using batteries at utility scale, those kinds of things. Those will get us like 80% of the way. And they are reasonably, in terms of cost, they are reasonable. But what happens at the tail end, that last 10%, the cost goes up, the complexity goes up. And that's where all of this, all of these kind of edge case solutions sit. That's where we have all of these solutions of direct air capture at some enormous scale, or some other, this hydrogen hype or this ammonia solution. It's that last mile that industry tends to focus on, and they keep putting our attention there when really we could be doing a lot more upfront. Maybe we don't get that last 10% until somewhere down the road, but we can do a lot right now. And a lot of that stuff doesn't cost money, and nobody's making money doing it. So I think it muddies the picture. But I think what you guys are talking about in this meeting today is really that first 80%. I think that's where it's important to keep people's attention.
And this kind of also, and I'll just add, there's implications for LNG, right? So they're framing it like we should consider all options, including LNG. But from what they've already put forward, and from all that we know, like through objective reality, is that pivoting towards LNG, investing $2 billion into this pivot, it's going to lock us into LNG and essentially delay potentially indefinitely renewable development and a transition to a clean energy future. And so, yeah, I mean, they're saying like, don't lock out LNG until you consider, well, we have analyses, and then it looks like if we do go to LNG and lock in and pot commit, we're actually going to foreclose significant options for getting us energy independent, taking advantage of the cost and environmental benefits of a truly renewable development investments.
I just want to echo the architect in me loves this conversation of load reduction and decarbonization. It has been an ongoing struggle in our city. So I think this will bring it hopefully to the top of the conversation. I want to thank you both for just presenting and having a discussion with the commissioners. I hope you both will be available should we have more questions or just pieces of research and information that we'd like to gain more information on. I do want to open the floor to our public. They have been very patient and waiting for their time. I do want to tell the public that we're encouraging 3-minute questions to these presenters. So I would like to welcome those from the public to raise your hand and ask your question. I know we have a few in the chat, so I would like to start with Casey Connors. If you're online, Casey, could you share your question?
Yeah, we have several questions. Last night at the Kolaloa Neighborhood Board, there were calls to take down or move some of the monster 568-foot wind turbines. They're for health and safety reasons, for environmental justice. Some of you have seen the recent blade came down in Massachusetts on a road and thankfully into a cranberry bog. And I don't know if you understand that the wind turbines, the monster wind turbines in Kahuku, the EIS says they only can withstand a Category 1 hurricane. Very frequently the electricity also goes off in our rural area, which it doesn't seem that that's registering to people very frequently. When you're looking at renewables, when you're looking at social justice, health and safety, we still have people that say they're getting ill from the turbines. What are the balances? Of course, you had mentioned the increased cost of these wind turbines. So is there any overall analysis that we can revisit this and look at the balances and what can be done? Because the neighborhood board last night and again before in November is very concerned. Mahalo.
I haven't looked into the cost analysis for the wind turbines over in Kahuku. I'm not sure. Totally the way that project was rolled out, unfortunately, just was kind of ramrodding it through the community and not getting input. Like it's caused all kinds of problems. And hopefully, it's a cautionary tale for future energy development. So we actually do meaningfully incorporate community input and concerns and do things differently. Like we can't keep replicating the same processes that have already subjected, folks in the rural areas to far too many burdens in terms of environmental injustices.
Great. Thank you, Casey, for your question. I believe the next question is from Mike.
Oh, sorry.
Or Mike, are you just making a comment to Casey's question?
Yeah, I didn't have a.
Okay.
Thanks.
Any questions from the group? I think the easier way is to raise your hand if you have a question for Wayne or Annika. Cross, do you have anything on Facebook?
Okay, there you go.
No, Chair, there is not.
Okay, thank you.
Jared, do you want me to help you read the questions from the top so that folks participating on Facebook and or in the room can see the
Sure.
questions? Is that
Thanks.
helpful?
Yeah, thanks, Commissioner.
Okay.
There.
From the top, I should make sure I don't miss anybody. Your first question is from Sherry. So Sherry, I'm going to read the question, your first question, and then if you want to unmute, you have a suggested 3-minute time to speak. So Sherry's question says, can the presenters speak to what occurred in the hearing on the measure heard this week that would prohibit LNG and in particular JERA's testimony? So following that, I just put in the chat the link to HB 1568 that I think Sherry was referring to. So Sherry, do you want to speak or ask questions to Wayne, Annika, or anybody else?
No, thank you. I think that says it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Sherry.
Oh,
I think the question's for you, Wayne.
oh yeah. Sorry, yeah, I got confused, but yeah. So at the hearing, significant amounts of written testimony submitted. I think 225 pages, almost all of them in support of the prohibition on LNG, which is it's good that people are paying attention. JIRA America was there, which is interesting that they've flew in their top official to kind of, I guess, lobby legislature. I mean, there's a really great questions from the committee, including committee chair Rep. Lowen, that really kind of highlighted how fuzzy all of this is, right? Like they couldn't, they couldn't guarantee or describe how even price volatility would or would not be passed on to ratepayers and to even the adding folks. They acknowledge that green hydrogen is probably not viable as a solution. What other highlights? Yeah, I mean, I think I think it really was an opportunity to or really did demonstrate that there are major uncertainties that and to actually puka through to the outcome that HSCO predicts is like it's like a pinhead that you need to go through, and I thought that was really informative. There is a YouTube link in that link if you go on the bottom right, so you can actually watch the hearing itself. There's a lot of questions from the chair that were really I think really good, and it informed the amendments, which again didn't maintain the outright prohibition, but essentially highlighted all of the safeguards that we need in order to make sure this doesn't just in order to best protect consumers from price volatility and to ensure that our transition actually isn't impeded, at least to the extent that you can do that in a bill.
Okay, thank you, Wayne. If you have a follow-up question, Sherry, feel free to pop it in the chat. Okay, great. The next question is from Renewable US. Wayne, I think this is also for you. Isn't it better choice than keep burning oil, though? If hydrogen is not viable, Hawaii just keeps burning oil.
Yeah, that's a really great question. Like, thank you so much for asking that. I mean, I learned this when I first came on to Sierra Club, but we have what's called a jet fuel economy. The reason why we burn residual fuel oil is we import crude oil and then refine it to create jet fuel. And that's basically right. And then the leftovers is what we burn. So until our jets get off of petroleum-based like fuel, then we're gonna have oil. And I think there's some interesting thoughts about what are we doing with that residual oil if we're not burning it, right? We're just gonna ship it somewhere else. And so there's that. I think, as I mentioned before, this huge lock-in, like in terms of the capital investment that we're gonna have to make, and then the crowd out of both, the need for renewable energy and the regulatory crowd out that's gonna occur if we pivot to LNG. That's gonna impede our renewable transition more so than if we, didn't invest heavily in this, $1.42 billion infrastructure. And again, in the bigger picture, again, like, this it's not just JIRA is not coming to Hawaii just for Hawaii. They want the Pacific, they want Oceania, and that's embodied in the strategic partnering agreement the governor signed, and then the climate implications of having and reputation implications of having Hawaii lead the way to open the door for everyone else to adopt methane across Oceania. That's also a major concern. That's why I think we need to do what we can to slow down this pivot towards LNG.
Thank you, Wayne. I'm sorry, Renewable US, I forgot to ask if you wanted to ask a question. If you do, just a quick reminder, you have 3 suggested minutes for speaking. You're also welcome to ask additional questions in the chat.
No, thank you. Thank you for
Okay.
answering. Yep.
Okay, thank you. There is a link from Commissioner Olson with the testimony for HB 1568 in the chat. Mark Gillett, I think you had your question answered, but the question was, where have FSRUs been successful? And Anika answered, there are certainly existing FSRUs and not all of them fail, but there are a lot of risks involved. This recently IEEFA report provides a really good overview of the emerging situation in Southeast Asia. And Anika provided a link to the report. Mark, did you want to add anything or ask a question for any of our speakers? I will take that as a no. Also, feel free to pop more into the chat. Matthias Fripp responded to Renewable US's questions. Sandy, I think Commissioner Ma, I think you had your question answered. Did you want to add anything else?
No, thank you.
Okay,
thank you.
Casey, you have or is this the question you asked already? I think it was about the Ko'olelo
was.
Neighborhood Board.
Mhm.
Okay. Mike has responded to Casey's question. Maka Gibson in the chat says, I suggest writing letters to the editors and submitting op-eds to local media to help spread the word, and provided a link to a Civil Beat article written by former CCSR director. Casey Connors provided another link regarding the detached wind turbine blade crashing into a cranberry bog in Plymouth, Massachusetts. Wayne provided his email address. I'm just going to read that for folks online. WAYNE.TANAKA@sierraclub.org. Dave says, great presentation. Anika also provides their email address, ajuhn@ieefa.org. And the next question is from Amanda Ellis. Amanda, I'm going to read your question, and if you would like to speak, you're also welcome to do that. So Amanda says, if there's time, can you please describe viable alternative solutions to the plan put forward? Kauai is already often 100 PC, I think that's percent, renewable but Oahu's resident dense. What can work better than status quo? And Commissioner Olson said the next presentation will do exactly this. Amanda, did you want to unmute and add anything else, or did you want to wait for the next presentation, or did you want to have either Wayne or Anika
Thank you so
respond?
much for this opportunity, and I'm in Aotearoa, New Zealand right now, so I hope the connectivity is good. I was very interested in thinking about this. The next presentation will be so valued. Thank you. Here in New Zealand, we have a very strong geothermal baseload of about 20%. And that, of course, really helps in addition to battery and storage. And just wondered, there hasn't been any mention of geothermal. And we know that there's opportunities not only on the Big Island, but also potentially on Oahu with the new techniques from Fervo Energy. So just wondered if there has been any thought given to that. Also wanted to mention the fact that methane is 85% more potent than CO2 over a 20-year period. So that is going to significantly upset Hawaii's current leadership, not only across the United States, but with many other islands. The Blue Planet Alliance brings in, and I think it's brought in over 40 countries now to Hawaii to learn from Hawaii's experience of committing to 100% renewable energy, transitioning so fast and saving billions of dollars, given that renewables are coming down the cost curve so fast and are already way cheaper than non-renewables. So just wondered if Wayne or Anika had any comments on that before moving on. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you, Amanda. I think they're still in large exploratory phases for geothermal on Hawaii Island, and of course that comes with a number of other environmental and cultural and environmental justice concerns. I just want to be clear, this LNG proposal is for Oahu. Neighbor islands are actually, I think they've all already hit the 2030 goal of 40% renewable portfolios. It's just Oahu is just, as you say in your comment, it's like we have our demand is that much higher. And I'm not sure. I mean, I'm not sure what I haven't been up to date on the latest in geothermal exploration on this island. Maybe the next presentation can speak to that. But yeah, in terms of the hope of Hawaii kind of leading the way in in a sane response to the climate crisis, that would just vanish if I think we were to become the poster child for the adoption of methane, which, as you say, is 85 times worse than carbon dioxide. Yeah, big reputational risks, and as well as the foreclosure of being able to lead in the response that we all need, like as humanity, to address what's happening to our planet.
I'll just add, Amanda, thanks for your comments. So down in Australia, New South Wales is a really interesting experiment in terms of developing and really pushing renewable adoption and distributed energy resources. So if you're interested in looking at how that particular community has kind of solved this energy mix problem, they're a great example and could be a really interesting one for an island state like Hawaii. So they really focus on renewables, distributed energy resources in really effective ways. And I think it's really important what you bring up about the cost issue. So in this sector, we talk about the levelized cost of electricity or energy, and it's a standardized way that you can start looking at and making comparisons between renewables, battery storage, methane-based systems, things like that. And just as you point out, the cost of renewables and battery storage are coming way down relative to those older systems. So thanks for your comments.
Thank you. Okay, I'm acknowledging Casey's additional comment that I think was shared when the question was asked about the wind turbines in Kahuku's EIS, saying they can only withstand a Category 1 hurricane. The next question's from H808. H808, I'm going to read your question, and then if you would like to unmute, you have a suggested 3 minutes. So H808 says, why the big concern over methane and carbon emissions? Just do an AI search for how much the state of Hawaii currently contributes to global methane and carbon on emissions for methane. It's 0.001 of 1%. For carbon, it's 0.05 of 1%. This is so negligible that it doesn't even, it's not even a rounding error. Even if we are able to remove 100% of Hawaii's emissions, it would not benefit Hawaii residents at all, as we are still affected by global emissions. So why spend all this money and subject residents to skyrocketing costs for renewable energy and electric transportation transition when it doesn't affect us? Doesn't affordability so families can put food on the table matter more? Seems only a handful of companies and those involved in renewables and electrification benefit from this transition economically. So H808, do you have anything you want to add before I hand it to Anika and or Wayne? Okay, I'm going to hand it to Anika and or Wayne, and if you have questions, please let us know, raise your hand and or put in the chat. So go ahead, either of you or both.
Maybe I'll just go first. So to be clear, we don't have methane now as a fuel source, right? So I mean, so I don't know how, the AI, if that so first, we don't have methane, so that's why we don't have, that number is probably going to be a lot higher if we start burning 1 million tons of methane per year. I don't know if the AI is taking into account, like, all of the life cycle emissions, right? It's not just what we burn at the stack, it's like all of the emissions of bringing things here, importing, shipping tankers and tankers of fossil fuels, whether it's oil, whether it's LNG. Yeah, and there's a lot more, I've already talked about, like, opening the door to methane across Pacific, and that's going to exponentially increase the impact of our pivot towards methane. But in terms of costs, that's kind of like what we led with, right? Like, we are looking at a potential liability, a risk that's going to be placed on us of hundreds of millions of dollars, maybe $1 billion, maybe more than that. If there's anything like rail, we're going to be paying for this for decades, right? Generations. So if you're concerned about costs, then you should be very, very concerned about this proposal to roll the dice on a pivot to lock us on a pivot towards LNG. That's basically going to lock us into continued dependency, continued volatility in prices, and vulnerability to cost overruns and maintenance increases that maintenance and repair costs that could scale up very, very quickly, and also leave us without firm energy, right? Or at least to the extent that LNG provides that. And yeah, I'm sure Anika has much more insightful things to share.
No, I think you said all the important points. Thanks, Wayne.
Okay, great. And I'm just acknowledging Commissioner Olson's response to H808. The emissions are one policy goal, which needs to be considered alongside reliable electricity supply, cost to consumers, and other considerations. as well as Dave's response. We only have one Earth. We are all in the same boat. We need to reduce CO2 emissions dramatically to avoid climate breakdown and climate chaos. It's going to take all of us working together, doing our part to help reduce emissions. Either additional comments from Commissioner Olson or from Dave? Okay, seeing none, please, if you do, raise your hand and I will do my best to watch the chat as well as raise hands. The next question is from Lene Naipo. Re the justice issue, I can't help but ask this commission when/how our Hawaiian stewards consulted about caring for our land/water. Pacifica peoples are always the ones harmed by fossil fuels, and yet I do not see or hear much representation or traditional Aina management and Aina management Ike, which includes Vai, sea, air, etc., when it comes to research and considerations or elevated voices. The question is always how much is going to be saved/spent? What about the long-term effects to Aina and her people attempting to fix a short-term issue to keep the American capital engine forging ahead? How can we center people who actually spend their lives caring for our natural resources generation after generation and not just gathering reports from people who have little connection to Aina? How can this commission do things differently to implement real environmental restorative justice? So, Lene, did you want to add anything?
Sorry, I'm under the weather.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And
You
I'm
don't
new
have to,
here.
but go ahead.
I'm new here, but you know, it's just something that continues to come up in these spaces. It's just very disconnected from reality, of people on the ground who is our lifeblood and our mission to take care of these spaces, and decisions are made for us and for our Aina, and things are not getting better. So I just wanted to see if, besides Hawaiians just continuing to, you know, show up at BLNR and DLNR meetings and CWAR meetings and yelling and screaming and fighting and crying, what are like other ways coming from maybe this angle where advisory boards are used to advise, you know, government members and agencies, like how can we elevate the people who are actually connected?
Great. Thank you, Lene. Wayne or Anika, before I ask Chair if we have a response.
Sure, yeah. So I'm actually very, one of the things that made me really excited was to have Dr. Kealoha Fox be appointed to be the Chief Resilience Office, and she's resilient, who's I've known for a long time now, and who's very, very much invested in her career in looking at indigenous solutions to health and environmental. I mean, it's all one thing, right, Maliola. And I'll just say, yeah, I mean, absolutely. When you think about what we're dealing with, right? We put so much carbon from the ground into the atmosphere, and it takes so long for the climate to respond. Things are going to get way worse before they get better, no matter what. We can stop burning carbon now, and we're still going to see more and more frequent and extreme weather events and all the climate impacts for decades in the future, and which means we're going to have to get really fast about being able to take care of ourselves, right? Like supply chain is going to break down, like economies. I mean, look what's happening on the American continent, right? Like economic structures are going to falter, and so how do we build the foundation for our children and their children to have a chance at a livable future? And I'm just gonna speak personally, but for me, it's like, we need, and I'm not Hawaiian, but I'm I think there's concepts in Olelo that English cannot capture. And so the three foundations, it's like why? It's the foundation of life, or the source of life, and not just human lives, but for all living things. So how do we ensure that this precious resource is managed and protected and allocated appropriately, right, and conserved appropriately, and not hoarded or wasted like we've seen so much in these colonial structures. The other thing is Aina, right? So that which feeds us in all of the ways, right? So all the living systems that support us, physically and spiritually and emotionally and so forth. And how do we restore these systems that can still feed upwards of 1 million people or more if we utilize Hawaiian, like land tenure and agriculture methods, and then Kaiaulu, which is which isn't talked about enough, I think, in climate spaces, but the social fabric, right? that's going to carry us through these increasing crises over time. Like how do we learn, as Chip Fletcher says, like how do we learn to love each other again and to love the land again? And those are very, very critical foundations we need to pivot towards like real fast. And fortunately, so much of that is embedded in our host culture, right? In Hawaiian understanding of public trust and why, which is based on Hawaiian sense of time immemorial, and it's the law of the land. I mentioned like Hawaiian land stewardship is going to probably be key to food self-sufficiency, and just the cultural values and perspectives that come with sharing such a beautiful but small place. And that's all embedded in this cultural foundation, but we need to unearth it because it's buried under generations of oppression and colonialism. And but for me, like we don't have a choice, right? Like this is our best chance and our last chance to build a future that our children that we can be hopeful for our children. And we either do it or we don't make it. And that's just my opinion.
Chair, did you want Dr. Fox to go first, or did you want to? Okay, go ahead, Dr. Fox. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Mahalo, Chair and Vice Chair. Mahalo lane okay, and my kaihe piha I ke va. I would say that firstly, thank you for being here, and thank you for being around our virtual and proverbial table, if you will. I always tell everybody that my central metric and my central identity is Aloha Ainan. And that's not something that I hid throughout my confirmation process myself. And having worked for over a decade with folks like Director Tanaka, there are so many of us that are very, very committed to being able to implement everyday actions of Aloha Aina within the spaces that we are invited into, and to the spaces that, quite frankly, I think that we occupy. And so I firstly want to be able to respond to your question with a deep and unwavering commitment by the City and County of Honolulu, by this administration, and by the Office of Climate Change, Sustainability, and Resiliency, which helps to administer the Climate Change Commission for the city, to ongoing environmental justice, self-determination, and equity. You're going to see and hear a change in our behaviors and in our actions and the way that we do our work here. Exactly to what Director Tanaka is saying. For the very first time, I think you're going to hear people talking in this office about the Public Land Trust and the unceded lands of Hawaii. You're going to hear people talking about traditional and customary rights and the protections that are codified into law at the very highest levels for our people, from the water doctrine to the ways in which we can continue to collect our mea, to perform our unalienable rights and lineages to our kupuna. And that's something that is core to my entire identity as the very first Native Hawaiian to hold this position since the office's creation, and being able to hold that position as the rank that I do within Mayor Blangiardi's cabinet. Two of the first ways that I absolutely want to talk about that is that this commission has really started to set the foundation for what environmental justice and social equity looks like through climate mitigation and climate adaptation from its very beginnings. And I'm very, very grateful to this current commission, but the two iterations before that, for making sure that these were pieces of the foundation building of the kohua, if you will, that was set out. And that's something that we're not stepping back from. This is a time where many people are afraid to talk about these concepts, and they're losing grants and they're losing positions because these words have become banned and because these projects are no longer tolerable in certain spaces. And I'm here really with a strong conviction of where we're really unwavering in our commitment to these conditions here. And though that may be affecting people at the federal level, we do operate here in a local municipality through our island values. And I think that's something that shouldn't be understated. Two of the policies that you're going to see forward from our office will be our Climate Action Plan 2025 to 2030 and Oahu's first ever food systems plan. Both of those have Aloha Aina and Malama Aina at the core. You're going to see so much more than you've ever seen before come out of our office, where these policy mechanisms link to short-term and long-range planning for the city, but then also talk about how do we come together through our values and how do we engage much more effectively, because you're right, Lene, people have been left out of the decision-making and the conversations. And I think one of the best things that we can always do in order to assert our sovereignty is to ensure that we have these voices and bodies represented around the table. And so I'm very happy that you're here. Malama kokino, malama ko uhane. I really hope that you start to feel better. And I'll take this back with the team and just know that we're committing ourselves to having much more courageous conversations here with the protections of our leadership that is asking us to keep moving forward, but they're not asking us to change. And so we are who we are. And I'm very thrilled to be able to share that. And thank you, Wayne. That was very kind of you.
Chair, did you want to add anything before we move on?
No, I feel Dr. Fox summarized it very well. And I just want to say to Lene, we are an advisory board. We are here to listen and to provide recommendations to the city and county, to the mayor and executive office. We are working with a lens of equity and ensuring that we hear all voices. And so I just want to share with you that thank you for being in this space, and this conversation is just one great example of what we're doing. We're trying to hear all sides of this very important conversation. And if I could just echo one thing that Wayne and Dr. Fox said, is that we do need to have courage moving forward with innovation. And if anything, this conversation is pushing hard on some of the topics that we've been having on decades that we've been challenged with, right? How to move forward. And I think we have to really reflect deeply about what we want our future of Hawaii to be. So thank you for being in this space. This is a forum for discussion. We do speak collectively about this with the office, and if anything, in this new cohort of commissioners, we are trying to work more directly with the office, and we do have more in-person commission meetings. So that is also a space to be there and to be sort of in a workshop with us. So thank you again for being here.
Okay, we are a little bit pressed for time. I'm going to continue reading the comments, and then there are a few more questions. And then Chair, let me know when you'd like to move on. Is that okay? I'm realizing it's almost 10:45 already.
Yeah,
Okay.
we still have a few things to cover.
Yes. Just acknowledging Commissioner Olson's comment, mahaloing Lene for their mana'o, and hope we can spend time sitting with this as we set our agenda moving forward. Dr. Fox has a mahalo piha to Ambassador Ellis. It is wonderful for you to be here today with the commission, for you to share with the city of Kyoto. Dr. Fox says, Mike's response to H808 is very unlikely that LNG will increase costs, not decrease them. And currently methane emissions here are low because we have so little LNG. H808 says acknowledged, but the panel appears to be focused on the emissions aspects of LNG rather than the costs. Hawaii emissions have little to no impact on Hawaii residents given the global nature of emissions. We unfortunately have zero control over what happens large industrial countries like China or Russia with high emissions. But what we do have control over is choosing a portfolio of energy resources that are lowest in cost. So shouldn't that be the focus of whether we move forward with LNG? Aren't the climate implications just a sideshow? Mike says lowest cost would have very little fuel of any kind. We will show that with what that looks like in the next presentation. Dave says LNG is not necessarily cheaper than oil. LNG is shown to have great cost. I think it's supposed to be volatility. This is volatility. Any comments from Dave, Mike, or H808 before we move on? Okay, I'm going to keep going, but please raise your hand if you have any questions. Another question from Casey Connors. With the social justice issues, why haven't we seen any talk story / good analysis about destroying Hawaiian and local communities to give electricity for new luxury condos in Ala Moana, Kaka'ako, and new hotels, parentheses, Kahuku and Westside, etc.? Just really quick, Dave, Chair, I think I don't know if this is a question for the commission or for Wayne or Anika specifically. So what would you like to do with this question?
Are you talking about Matthias's question?
Oh, I'm sorry, it's Casey's question about why have there not been good analyses in Talk Story about destroying Hawaiian and local communities to save electricity for new luxury condos in Ala Moana, Kaka'ako, and new hotels.
Wayne, I don't know if this is something you feel you want to address.
Yes.
Or energy sacrifice zones. I haven't seen that talked about either, and I don't know if it's this time or another time, but mahalo for all you're doing. I know it's difficult.
Yeah, Chris. Yeah, I mean, exactly. I mean, that's, I mean, this question, I think the previous question is kind of shows why, Lene's point is so important, right? Like we've just done things the wrong way for too long. It's because we're under this, this system that's been imposed on us that is currently spiraling down the toilet, unfortunately, and bring us all with them. So I don't know, I did, in the LNG context, I think I mentioned there are going to be significant environmental justice impacts, and but I don't know if this is I don't know if I want to take, I don't know if this is right now the venue to kind of go into like the bigger picture of colonialism and the burdens it's placed on probably the least deserving folks. But happy to have that conversation.
I think a
try to help
conversation
those
for
folks.
another day. Wayne,
Yeah, try to help
yeah,
those whenever we
yeah.
can. If you can do a better job, please let me know.
Thank you.
Dave, did you have a response to Casey's question, or is this a separate question?
I think it's separate.
Okay. Do you mind if I get through the chat first and then you can ask your question? Okay.
No, it's all good.
Thank you. And thanks for everybody's patience as we try to allow folks who are watching Facebook be as included as possible. Okay. Matthias has a statement here. There seems to be a lot of fear on relying on solar power, but actually is incredibly reliable day to day and year to year. Most modeling of Oahu shows that the cheapest plan is solar plus batteries and some existing wind and waste to energy, up to 95% of the power supply, then biodiesel or maybe hydrogen for the last 5% on days when it's too cloudy to recharge the batteries. These system designs meet or exceed the current reliability level. And then one more from Matthias. Most island-wide outages now are caused by unexpected shutdowns of the big oil-fired power plants. Matthias, are we okay to keep going, or did you want to add anything?
No, that's fine.
Okay, I know you're going to speak next. I think this has, Casey, I think your next question was sort of talked to about Wayne, but I'm happy for you to ask any additional questions. So the question from Casey is, the governor, Hawaii Tourism Authority, and many at the state legislature keep pushing more and more funding for HTA over tourism, more flights, more fossil fuel. Why aren't we looking more at airlines / over tourism and diversifying, modernizing Hawaii's economic structure? We won't talk about this today, Casey. I'll sort of answer your question, but not really. But our next guidance document, these are documents that our commission puts together, sort of making suggestions to the city and county of Honolulu, is focused on the impacts of tourism and climate change. So stay tuned. I think Commissioner Olson and I will present some internal revisions next month. So please come next month. Anybody else respond? Oh, sorry, go ahead, Casey. Oh, okay. Anybody else want to respond to Casey's question? I think that's a good conversation for next month, and or maybe Wayne, if you want to come back also to talk about the bigger systemic issue. Just acknowledging Lene's comment, mahalo Wayne, AO, allowing foreign entities to continue to dictate our land management is never going to get us there. Matthias says new geothermal technologies are promising but need to be much cheaper to compete with solar and batteries. It's not clear when /if that will happen. A couple of comments from Commissioner Olson and Maka. So Maka says, just offering comment, there was public testimony at the Capitol this week from a Puna community member. And she said that the health impacts from the Puna geothermal venture have been detrimental for the communities. She was distraught, rightfully so, and felt local leaders have ignored their complaints. Commissioner Olson says, thank you for raising the health concerns. I'll explore more about these. Matthias, Maka, or Commissioner Olson, any additional comments? Okay. One more question from Casey, I think relates to the previous question, Casey, but you're welcome to chime in if you'd like. Question says, why are Hawaiian and minority communities still energy sacrifice zones, Westside and Kahuku, Ko'olauloa? Hawaii Kai, it has good wind for energy to mahalo. So maybe Wayne will invite you back for another presentation. Lene says, appreciate you all, Eola. Lene says, mahalo e ke aloha, mai waimanalo, kaya ulu, and our lahui will kako'o you and look forward to seeing the changes. Our kupuna did not waver and neither will we. Malama pono. And Dr. Fox says, Eola no. Brad says he'll step away and be right back in a couple minutes. That's everything from the chat. Thank you for your patience. Chair, Dave had a question, has been patiently raising their hand. Is that okay if we have Dave go next?
Yeah, if with a suggested 3 minutes, so we
Yes,
do
on
have
timing.
about 5 other agenda items to cover. Thank you.
Okay.
Real short. I just want to thank you for this presentation and for having this conversation. And there's been a big problem at the legislature for us to get bills passed that are going to help us cut our carbon emissions. It's hard to get solar panel bills passed. It's hard to get any kind of renewable energy bills passed. And they keep silencing us or focusing on, well, we don't have the choice. We have to have firm energy. And I really appreciate Nika and Wayne. There are other alternatives. Why don't we focus on that 80%, see how much we can whack down, as well as resiliency and less using technology, right? Better batteries and better equipment, all that stuff. And so I thank you for bringing that conversation up. We keep getting like knocked down. It's like, well, what about firm energy? And so this conversation is so important that we need to be focusing more on what can we do right now to reduce our carbon emissions without using fossil fuels. And so I thank you all for this, thank you. That's all.
Thank you, Dave. That's an excellent transition to our next presenter. I just want to tell those that are attending, before I go, thank you again, Anika and Wayne, for presenting. It was very insightful. I do hope we all continue having conversations about this topic and pathways forward for our state and our city. I do want to share that we have really 3 other important agenda items that we would like to cover in this commission meeting. Our hopes is that we can cover it within the hour. If not, commissioners, I think we may need to extend for another half hour. So I hope that is possible. If not, we can talk about what we will defer. So moving on to our next presenter, I'd like to welcome Matthias Fripps from the Energy Innovation and Michael Roberts from the University of Hawaii at Manoa to have a presentation and discussion on solving the wrong problem, liquid natural gas infrastructure versus renewable energy interconnection reform in Hawaii. Thank you, Matthias and Michael. The floor is yours.
Oh, hi, thank you. I'm having a problem with my screen sharing at the moment. I'm not quite sure what the issue is. I just see a bunch of exclamation points.
Cross, do we have a copy of Michael's and Matthias's presentation to share from the office?
Yes.
Okay.
I may be able to share also.
Okay.
Michael, Matthias, you can share.
Let me just get Zoom working here. Sorry, it's probably kind of a mess right now.
While Matthias is pulling that up, I just want to thank you all for inviting us to speak. I think some of the things we'll say will echo what the previous presentation said, but we'll also touch on some other things and hopefully a possible path forward. I think I really want to support the idea that we really need to focus on the first 80 to 90%, not the last 10%. But I think there's a really good reason why we always hear about that, and hopefully this talk will get at some of that. A lot of this I hope to present is just facts, because I think a lot of what we hear is based on false premises. And by putting the facts out there and making the context a little bit clearer, hopefully it'll head some of that off. So Matthias, do you want to, I can't really control the slides. There's
No, you
Matthias,
could just say next slide when you want.
okay, I should say Matthias used to be here at the University of Hawaii. He was in electrical engineering, and we've been colleagues for a while working on energy issues. I'm a professor of economics and also with Sea Grant, and a fellow at UHERO. And Ethan Hartley and Cindy Campbell are both grad students that helped out with this work. Okay, next slide. Okay, so here's a brief outline. I'm going to talk a fair amount. I'm going to show you, like an economist usually does, show you a lot of graphs and figures just to kind of set context. And I think that helps us understand a little bit better some of the assumptions that were made in HSCO's study of LNG. And I think it helps people understand those assumptions and what it would really require for LNG to make sense. Then we'll show what our own modeling has done. This is, Matthias actually invented the modern method of capacity expansion, of picking an optimal portfolio with renewables and storage, which is a very different animal than the conventional power system. And he basically built a new approach for doing that. And now all the best capacity expansion models in the country use that approach. And so we've used his model switch to look at what an optimal portfolio actually looks like in Oahu. And then we're going to pivot and say, well, why do we keep getting these crazy ideas? And what's wrong? Why is it that clean energy just can't get on the grid? So I'll talk about those problems and then discuss a solution, the details of which I'm going to talk about it at a pretty high level. The details can get a little arcane, and I'm not going to talk about those unless people have questions, but I do have a written proposal now that's fairly detailed as to how to actually implement it. Okay, next slide. Okay, so context. So this shows our generation here on Oahu, and most of our conversation about energy systems focuses on Oahu because, we're most of the power, most of the generation, and it's also the island that's most difficult to decarbonize. We are a bit more land constrained than almost any other place for putting on renewables. The footprint required for clean energy is pretty small, almost everywhere, and I think it's actually pretty small on Oahu, but we're definitely more land constrained than almost any other place. But this kind of shows you what's been happening. We've had declining power generation by Hawaiian Electric for some time. It peaked around 2005, and the governor has recently, changed definitions a little bit and wants to focus on reducing emissions since 2005, around the time we peaked, rather than focusing on the percent of clean energy. Those are two very different metrics, and I think it's important to pay attention to that. But you can see we've got a little bit of wind and a little bit of grid scale solar. At the bottom, we had a coal-fired power plant that was our cheapest source of energy. It might have been, I think we should probably ban coal, but that might have been the only coal-fired power plant in the country that I think there would have been a good case for keeping it for a while. But they shut that down, and now we're burning more oil than we had before that because the oil has basically replaced it in HECO's old power plants. Okay, next slide. The next slide I add the one place where we've really succeeded and where we're really exceptional, really the only place where Hawaii is exceptional, is in rooftop solar. In most places, rooftop solar is a tiny sliver of generation. Here, it's a pretty substantial share, as you can see, and it's probably half of our clean energy on the island and perhaps the state. Next slide. This shows the clean energy share over time across the different islands. And it was noted earlier, Kauai is the real exception. They have increased their share far more than anyone else. And we are, slowly moving up. Next slide. This puts Hawaii in context. What's the clean share in Hawaii relative to everyone else? We like to tell everyone that we're a clean energy leader, but we're not. If we're 41st in the country and not pretty far from number one in terms of the share of clean energy that comes from Hawaiian Electric. If you add our distributed generation to us, but not to anyone else. No, distributed generation is pretty small everywhere else except us. It raises us up to 35, but we're well below the US average in terms of our share of clean energy. Next slide. If we want to use the governor's new metric, our reduction in CO2 emissions since 2005, we're also, below average, around number 35 of the states, and less on average. Next slide. I think it's pretty important to keep in mind where Hawaiian Electric sales go. All of the conversation tends to focus on residential, and maybe that's salient to people. People think about what they're using their electricity for, but actually today, 3/4 of what Hawaiian Electric sells does not go to residents. 75% of their sales goes to commercial and industrial. We don't really have industry here, but that's mostly the military, I believe, in blue at the bottom. The largest customers, the largest class customers are considered industrial just based on the size of the service. So you can see that sales have really been decreasing. So for prices, we do have the highest prices in the country by a pretty good margin. These are adjusted for inflation. Some people keep talking about how electricity prices are skyrocketing. In inflation adjusted terms, they really aren't skyrocketing. They are high, and they're definitely very high here. But even though prices aren't increasing that much in inflation adjusted terms, they really ought to be declining. And they ought to be declining because fuel costs have fallen so much, because power plant efficiencies have improved so much. And more than anything else, we have solar and wind now that are far, far cheaper than power has ever been. So it's really remarkable that this is when I got out of grad school, we had no idea how we would possibly decarbonize. It was very ominous. And we thought, well, gosh, coal is so cheap, people are going to burn it no matter what. But now in most parts of the world, coal is obsolete because it just can't compete with renewables. So prices actually should be falling. They shouldn't be rising modestly in real terms. But so anyway, we do have a big burden on people here with very high electricity prices. Next slide. It is kind of interesting. Kauai is exceptional in terms of its, it's done a lot more to reduce its reliance on fossil fuels, and done a lot more to reduce its emissions than anyone else. They're also smaller scale, they have a harder time, and they've also reduced their prices more than anyone else. Relative to everyone else, their prices appear to be about 10 to 12 cents lower. They went from the highest, the most expensive, to the cheapest. Okay, next slide. It's really impossible to talk about what's going on here without talking about, electricity is a strange thing. It's what we call a network monopoly or a natural monopoly. Some might debate whether it really is a natural monopoly and what that really means. But basically, we only have one set of wires, and they're owned by Hawaiian Electric, so they're a monopoly. And so we regulate them. And the nature of regulation is very, very strange. And that tends to be why we get a lot of the strange things going on. There are different ownership models for these types of network monopolies. The three are an investor-owned utility like Hawaiian Electric, and that's definitely the most prevalent. That's most of the energy is retailed from investor-owned utilities. There's also cooperatives. They tend to be rural and much, much smaller, and KIUC is an example of that. We don't have a municipality. That's the other type, where it's just government owned and operated. So all of these are very imperfect, and I will say that among economists, there's economists will say these are all imperfect. None of these really are ideal. And their solution usually is, let's try to introduce markets where we can, and then we'll deal with whatever kind of network monopoly or regulation we have to deal with what's ever left over. So the basic regulatory approaches are what we call they say there's two of them, but it usually collapses to one. There's cost of service, So the utility reports its cost and we allow them to recover revenue to cover those costs. But if you do that, they don't really have a strong incentive to minimize their costs. The biggest part of this, the way they make their profit, is capital. And how do you cost out capital? And what you do is you allow them a rate of return. Usually that tends to be above market. Hawaiian Electric will ask for 11-12% rate of return on any capital they build. The price, the dividend to price ratio of an electric utility is usually around 3%. So the more capital they build, the higher their stock price. And all the bonuses for the executives are tied to how much new rate base can they get, how much new capital can they get with an all but guaranteed rate of return on that capital, which has to be approved by the Public Utilities Commission. So an alternative to this kind of came from economists, is to, instead of just allowing them to recover all costs, you put a cap on their revenue or on the price and encourage them to minimize costs underneath that cap. And they get to keep all or some of the cost reductions below that cap. So that encourages them to minimize costs. But you have to figure out what that cap's going to be. And you can lower it or you can raise it in the future. And so it usually tends to collapse to something that looks like cost of service regulation, where you're still kind of trying to figure out what that cap should be and what should they be allowed to do. In Hawaii, we had this Act 5 in 2018. The Ledge was really frustrated with this situation, and they wrote a very simple bill, probably too simple. It just said the Public Utilities Commission will come up with a way to break the link between the utilities' profits and their capital investment. I can tell you from my personal interactions with folks that the regulators were really worried about this. They had no idea how to do that. I mean, our entire regulatory edifice everywhere in the country and perhaps all over the world, this is at the center of it, and they didn't have any conception of how to do that. So what they basically did was do what they were going to do anyways. They already had a docket open on performance-based regulation, which is basically number 2 here, a revenue cap. What they did that was a little creative is they put capital underneath that cap. They basically said, here's your rate base going forward. You have to stick to that rate base, and you can spend all of that rate base on capital, or you can spend less and save money. There are problems with this. If they can cut costs too much, you might have too many outages. They might not care about quality as much. And so there tends to be incentives for better performance is tied in as well. So it's a bit more complicated than that, but that's the basic idea. So that was adopted in 2020. But there's always a loophole, which goes back when we go from 2 back to 1. There is an exceptional project recovery mechanism where if they want to spend big on capital on something that's really exceptional, they have to do it, then they can increase their rate base and get a new allowed rate base. So we have lots of proposals now before the Public Utilities Commission, and this LNG project is a poster child for that, for huge increases, exceptional recovery mechanism, exceptions to their rate base so they can expand their capital base. And I think that's really where this is coming from. That's why we're having this conversation. Next slide. I think this is just preliminary research that Sydney's doing, but she's using this kind of new, really cool statistical technique called synthetic control that economists are using, where you basically build a control of what Kauai would have looked like if it was an investor-owned utility, because it used to be an investor-owned utility. It was owned by citizens before 2002. And so you train a link between that and the other islands. They're fairly similar in terms of their cost structures. And then you predict what would they be doing today. And a gap really opened up between the synthetic control and their actual prices as they started adopting renewables. And the incentives to adopt clean energy are very different for the cooperative, and their costs are very different. And it may be more amenable to that kind of ownership than an investor-owned utility. So about 10 to 12 cents lower, is what this is saying. So what's regulation with renewables? Why is there this tension? Well, solar and wind are distributed and they tend to be competitively procured and owned by third parties. Hawaiian Electric doesn't get that capital. And worse, so they can't grow their rate base by building this stuff, but worse, it could displace their own capital. And if they're not using their own capital, the PUC can come in and say, hey, your capital is obsolete. It's not used and useful. You can't collect on that. And that would be devastating to their stock values. They don't get their rate of return. Not only that, they can't even recover the cost up front because it's just not viable anymore. So that is the most terrifying thing to electric utilities. And you'll hear Shelley Kimura all the time talk about that if they're going to do this LNG thing, they need guarantees. They need to make sure that they're going to get their recovery of their assets plus a big rate of return, or they're not, they have to have those guarantees up front, which is potentially problematic. So, clean energy can really slow their rate-based growth, and it can really increase the risk of stranded assets where they may not get recovery. So it's a real threat to them, to their profits. And that's unfortunate. It would be really nice if their profits were in sync with the public interest, but they simply are not. And nothing gets the executives more upset than just pointing that out. But if you can't talk about the elephant in the room, you can't find a solution to it. And that's unfortunate. So utilities are legally required to protect their shareholder value. If they lean into the public interest a little bit, that's illegal. The executives have to work for their shareholders. That's their fiduciary obligation. So they're in a tough corner, the executives at Hawaiian Electric. Clean energy conflicts with that obligation, and resistance is structural. It's not personal. It's not about the individual executives or the company. Any investor-owned utility would behave like this. Next slide. So another tension backdrop here is the Maui fire and the settlement, where Hawaiian Electric stock price fell by about 3/4. They went from about a $4 billion valuation to about a $1 billion valuation. To satisfy the settlement, they issued a lot of new stock, and they also borrowed money. So there's a few different things, but the valuation now went up to around $2 billion, even though the stock price didn't go up very much because there was a lot of dilution of shares. And then very recently, as we're talking a lot about LNG and a lot of these really big exceptional recovery mechanisms, including the Waiau retrofit, which is $1.15 billion for plants that aren't very much more efficient, and about 4 times the cost of what these types of retrofits ought to cost. Next slide. We've seen a pretty big recovery in their stock price. They're now up to about a $3 billion valuation. Their stock price is up to around 16 to 17. Okay, so now let's talk about LNG. I think that context really helps. Just looking at levelized costs, and these are ballpark numbers that I think are kind of conservative, but if we're lucky with LNG and we get what I think are reasonable costs, with taking into account the regasification facilities and everything else, you're looking at around 95 to 105. That's around 10 cents per kilowatt hour for generation. If we have kind of more realistic, if we have higher prices, especially because we're probably going to have to pay a little bit more than world market here, then that price could really go up to 14, 15 cents per kilowatt hour. Under the new Waiau retrofit with combustion turbines, you have very expensive capital. The levelized cost is going to be very expensive, 25 cents to 40 cents per kilowatt hour. And then the whole old HECO power plants that really are the base of our system right now is between 200 and 300, or 20 to 30 cents per kilowatt hour. And that tends to be what's marginal. That's the bulk of our generation today. Solar plus battery, and I think this is conservative, is probably $85 to $100 per megawatt hour. And that's solar and battery at grid scale. And I think this is reasonable if we had, pretty competitive procurement. Our procurement mechanisms right now are less than ideal, and it could be more expensive because of that. So I think if we get quotes for higher PPAs, that's the main reason why. But so those are just as a touchstone. Solar and batteries is just cheapest, even if you don't care about the environment, and I really do. If we want to just save money for customers, solar and battery is the thing to do. Okay, next slide. Okay, so benefits and costs of efficiency. So this proposal from HSEO and presumably the one from JERA, we don't know the details yet, they're all confidential. It's about investing in power plants that are more efficient and changing the fuel. So do these investments pay off, and under what circumstances? It pays off if the efficiency, the fuel savings in either the price of the fuel or the amount that you're using is going to be large. It's going to persist for very long because you're going to be spending billions of dollars on this stuff. So that really kind of depends on what else you're going to do. How much clean energy are you going to put on the grid? How much fuel is really going to be there? So kind of the key limitations of this analysis, they basically fix clean energy, and they fix it at a pretty low, very conservative level. And they don't think about optimizing between LNG and clean energy. They fix the clean energy, and then they only optimize between that and oil. So future demand, I mean, I just showed you graphs that demand is falling, and they have raised their demand forecast tremendously. That leaves more room for fuel, which leaves more room for savings. And this likely overstates future fuel use and savings. Okay, next slide. So I'm just going to show you some of that. Okay. LNG versus oil. I mean, this is the fuel versus efficiency. There's two different things here. LNG might be cheaper. It's debatable. It depends on the specifics of the contracts, but if you're going to get cheaper LNG and less volatile LNG, it's going to mean a contract that locks you in to a certain quantity that you have to buy. And that's very risky, right? Because what if you don't actually have to use all that LNG and you've already bought it? You've locked yourselves into a contract. That's what JERA is going to sell. We don't know the details of it, but that's what those things look like. And you need that guarantee if you're going to put in all this infrastructure for regasification and in pipes and storage and all that. Okay. So is LNG really cheaper? Well, this is just public data. There's the global price of LNG from Asia. That's probably a pretty good touchstone. There's the global price of Brent crude, which is what our low sulfur fuel oil tends to be tied to. And then there's Henry Hub. You know, on the mainland in the United States, they have in Texas the cheapest natural gas in the world. And solar and wind already beat that really, really cheap natural gas. We're going to pay 2 to 3 times that. So it's pretty expensive fuel. And it's also, it's much more susceptible to bottlenecks because you have the liquefaction and export facilities, and there's only a certain capacity of those. So once you reach that capacity, global LNG prices can really break away from Henry Hub and from oil prices. So you can get these tremendous spikes. All of these, by the way, are in the same units, dollars per MMBTU, which is kind of the standard metric for power plants. Okay, next slide. One justification potentially for LNG is that the spread between low sulfur fuel oil that we've been paying is unusually high right now, and it has been unusually high since the inflation run up in 2022. It's unprecedented in the data, the wedge between low sulfur fuel oil and Brent. And I did a little bit of research on this. Next slide. This is another picture of that. This just shows the relationship between what Hawaiian Electric pays for its fuel and a 3-month lag moving average of Brent because they keep about 3 months of inventory. So if you want to find a pretty good link, you have to kind of take an average and look over the past 3 to 4 months. So this is a simple way to do that. And you can see since May 2022, it's more than doubled the margin. So that's a lot. That's an extra $1 billion that we've already paid, more than $1 billion probably, that we've paid in our bills because of this extra spike. I've done a little bit of research on this, and it's not clear entirely what's going on, but it looks like it's mostly a refinery issue that's global. But we also have only one refinery now on the island. And, you know, we probably should look pretty closely at and make sure that there isn't any price gouging going on there. But this is probably not going to be permanent. We'll probably return to the conventional margin eventually. And it looks like we might be slowly going back there now. Okay, next slide. So some assumptions about demand growth. Early in the process of planning, there's the HECO's PSIP in 2016, and this shows what kind of demand they were projecting back then, and the kind of mix that they were proposing back then. Hawaiian Electric, a little bit like HSEO, likes to install a lot of solar late, so there's lots of fuel up front, so they have their they get to use their power plants as much as possible. You see growth from around 913 megawatts. That's kind of the average load in Oahu, up to about 1,084. And they were accounting for a certain amount of electric vehicles going on the grid at that time. And this was kind of comparing a couple mixes that they had at that time. They revised their plans, and they currently have the IGP, and that's the next slide. This is Hawaiian Electric's current plan. And they have much lower, lower initial demand, 875 megawatts. I don't know if you remember my earlier slides, but currently sales are around 700 megawatts. They're lower than this. And they have a higher future demand. That higher future demand gives a little bit more room for fuel, but still, there isn't a lot of fuel in this plan. It mostly phases out by 2035. It's hard to justify big infrastructure investments, big energy efficiency investments, if you don't have a lot of fuel persisting long into the future. So next slide. And here's HSEO's plan. And they've changed things up a little bit. Can you click again? I have a few. There's even lower current demand to try to make it match what's actually going on. There's a lot of fuel in here that extends out to 2045, not just to 2035. So now we've got a lot more fuel. So now that makes LNG potentially and energy efficiency investments potentially valuable. But they've got this much higher future demand of over 1,500 megawatts, this gigantic growth. And where does it come from? The IGP already takes into account EVs, so did the PSIP. So it's kind of magical where that comes from. But if you actually talk with the folks there, I mean, Mark Lick will kind of admit that, you know, it's really hard to make it work, that LNG kind of pays. So we had to kind of push up demand to make it all fit. So, and they'll also tell you, and Monique said last time when she presented that, you know, they were under pressure from the governor. The governor said, you know, figure out a way to help out Hawaiian Electric. Those were her words. That's the motivation for this. They want to find capital and a way to make their assets used and useful. Okay, next slide. Oh yeah, the other thing that's pretty important about this that we didn't recognize until we just got the details of their plan the other day. But these plans look very similar on the surface, that you're just replacing oil with LNG, the black with the gray. But there's another big difference. In the LNG plan, they're using hydrogen in that green, and in the base case, the oil case, they're using biofuel. And their assumptions, we have no idea what the cost of biofuel and hydrogen will be. That was discussed a lot last time in the last presentation, but their assumptions about what the price of hydrogen will be are very optimistic for hydrogen and very pessimistic for biofuels. So there's huge differences in costs that come just from that assumption. You know, if you can use hydrogen over here, I don't see why you can't go ahead and use hydrogen and make the efficiency investments in the base case. So this just shows some demand projections together with actual history. Actual history of Hawaiian Electric sales is in solid black. If you add rooftop solar, that's the dashed. And you have the same thing for the PSIP and the IGP. You can see demand projections continually going higher, and then HSEOs. The yellow line there in the middle just takes 2007 demand and assumes we completely transition our entire vehicle fleet to electric vehicles. That's what the demand. Now, a lot of energy efficiency improvements have lowered demand already. So there's good reason to believe that demand will be far, far less than these projections. Okay, next slide. So why do these demand assumptions matter? Just to kind of reiterate, higher demand makes fuel-based investments look more attractive if solar and wind are limited. Lower demand resources reduces fuel savings and increases stranded assets. So that's a big risk. If we don't have that demand, it's a real problem. So it's a really big assumption. And this just doesn't match history. It just doesn't match history. So the other thing too is we have these sky high prices, and high prices tend to reduce demand, and that's probably part of what's going on. The other thing that's important to keep in mind, because of the high cost of living here, population is actually declining now. We don't have a growing population here. We have a declining population. I'll save that slide for later if anyone wants to see it. But next slide.
Michael, if I could just interject, we're really trying to, if possible, wrap up near or a little past 12. I'm
going pretty quick. I should be done pretty soon.
Okay, thank you so much.
I'll hand this over to Matthias.
Yeah, so this is going a little deeper. We've heard a lot about the risks and the uncertainties in the assumptions that the State Energy Office made in their LNG study, which is kind of what underlies the JIRA proposals. This is looking more, if you take the HSEO LNG study at face value, what does it tell you? So the next few slides are based on information in that study itself as we got it last week. And we're still trying to sort out what was going on in the study, but this is, I think I'm pretty confident of. So the top lines, the dotted ones, show the cost of burning various fuels. The green is biodiesel, the red is hydrogen, in steam plants, which are the ones that we have now. So something like Kahe or the existing Waiau, and maybe a combustion turbine. Those are very expensive, obviously, across this whole time range. And here what I'm showing is, let's assume you have to build a whole bunch of power plants just to have backup power. And that's kind of true. Assuming you've built those and paid for those, the question then is, would you even want to turn them on, or would you rather use renewable energy? And so this is only showing the cost of fuel for those existing plants once you've built them. And at the bottom, I'm showing the cost of renewables. So the solid lines show the cost of burning these same fuels in new efficient power plants of the kind that the HSEO study assumes are used for LNG, but not for anything else. So I'll come back a bit to which technologies the HSEO study assumes. But whether you're burning in an efficient plant or an old plant, all of these are way more expensive than renewables, which are those solid lines down near the bottom. And so it's just very clear you'd much rather be using renewable power than any of these imported fuels: oil, LNG, hydrogen, biodiesel. They're all so much more expensive than just using renewable power locally, produced locally. Here I'm comparing within that study. I'm trying to get a handle on how they found savings given this context. And so the left bar, I'm looking mainly at 2040 and 2045. Those are the times when we're kind of in between and when they're saying, let's put in some LNG as a bridge. But so this is an interesting period to think about. And then 2045 is as we move into the 100% RPS. So the leftmost column is HECO's plan that they produced through a stakeholder process at the PUC as of about 2021, I think, or 23. And And you can see as you move across, so the State Energy Office, when they give you savings, they get them by comparing two cases. One is what they call a base case or a no gas case. One is with LNG. And they compare these and say, well, LNG is going to save us money. So their base case here, though, this, I guess, is one of the key things to take away from this. Their base case is a really bad idea. It's a bad plan that dumps half the solar, as you can see by comparing to IGP. IGP is not perfect, but it's much better than the State Energy Office's plan. So their base case says we're not going to do IGP. We're going to dump half the solar and burn oil instead. And then they move across to the LNG case and say, well, compared to that, we can save money with LNG. And that's partly because LNG is cheaper, but it's almost entirely because they assume the LNG is going to be burnt in more efficient plants and the oil would be burnt in less efficient, older plants. When you move across to 2045, you see the same story. The base case already dumps a lot of solar. The LNG case is even worse, a little less solar. And now the base case says we're going to burn biodiesel, which they say, you can see in this previous graph, biodiesel in an old plant is that highest green line as their base case. And they say the LNG case will be that lowest red line of hydrogen. And so, okay, that's what they say. All of those are terrible plans. You don't actually want to burn that much of any of these fuels. They're all so much more expensive than the solar that's getting kicked out. And so there's savings by moving from, as I call it, the worst plan to a pretty bad plan. So the upper lines are the sort of no LNG case that they develop, where we use oil in an inefficient plant until 2045, and then biodiesel that's very highly priced. Their LNG case is cheaper because they use LNG in a very efficient plant and then hydrogen in a very efficient plant. And somehow they assume that this hydrogen is going to be bought cheaper than biodiesel, which I've never seen anybody say was possible. So, but really where we want to be is down at the bottom. And there was no effort to compare any of these plans in cost to just using renewables along the lines of IGP. And this is one last slide on their imported hydrogen price. It's the solid green line over at the bottom on the right. And this is from their contractor was Faxed Global Energy for a fuel price forecast, but somehow the data they sent us deviates pretty far from what Faxed told them. The blue line the blue line with the circles is what it costs, according to Faxed, to produce Hawaii, well, let's say the red line is what it costs to produce hydrogen locally. And then there's some dots in there that are the cost of imported hydrogen. And the green dots with the red circles on them are to import green hydrogen. And for some reason, HSEO's hydrogen forecast is half that. It's down at $2.50 a kilogram, which is just, I've never seen anyone propose that you could import at that cheap a price. So I'm not sure where that came from. So I'll hand back to Mike, but yeah, I thought I had enough. I guess it's gone. Anyway, so, and a lot of their savings, I think I said this before, come from moving from the dotted lines to the solid lines. That's if you change the plant. And then from the green to the red is from the changing of the fuel.
Okay, I'll try to wrap up pretty quickly and talk about how we think we can solve these. We don't really know much about the JERA plan. And it is going to be important to see what they have to say, and we should listen to them. But we do want to pay attention to what kind of commitments there is, what kind of price exposure will there be, what would these contracts look like, how much quantity commitment will we have, and who will pay for the stranded assets. So these are all confidential right now. Next slide. I think I've already raised these questions. I think the most important one is to say, I think a lot of the motivation for this is to try to stabilize Hawaiian Electric, and I empathize with that. I think there are real concerns. This is a big company, and it's worth a lot, but the stakes are much larger for the people of Hawaii, probably an order of magnitude larger than the stakes are for Hawaiian Electric. So are there other ways that we can stabilize Hawaiian Electric rather than doing this, if that's the real motivation? Okay, next slide. So here's what an optimal plan looks like. I think, you know, people have talked a lot about this, and this is an important thing to get community feedback on and think of carefully about how do we really want to use our land in Hawaii. But I think there's a lot of false premises about what it really takes to do a lot of, you know, more solar than what HSEO or even what the IGP is assuming. So this just shows the land that goes into the switch model, and it doesn't use all this land, not even close, but this is what can be selected for solar. And a lot of it, you know, you have this Class B and Class C ag land, which is pretty controversial, and then there's other land. Now, to build a really inexpensive system to completely decarbonize where you're using a lot more solar, you'll need 10% of the Class B and Class C land. Not all of that land, only 10% of the blue and the orange is needed to completely, to more or less decarbonize. So it's not quite the scale that you might imagine. And the other thing is all this land that would be agriculture that you'd use, you can normally mix agriculture and solar. And there's a lot of they call it agrivoltaics, where you mix agriculture, and it might be a way to actually make some of the agricultural land more viable, to make agriculture more viable, local food production more viable if you mix it with solar. And there's probably more modeling we could do to try to think about some of these new configurations like vertical panels. But there's a lot of different options there. So I think this is something that we need to think carefully about. Okay, next slide. There's other options. Some of these were mentioned. You normally assume zero military land is used for solar and wind, but they probably will be. And there's a lot of space there. Rooftop solar, there's a lot of capacity on rooftop solar that's underutilized and could be used. That would greatly reduce land requirements. We could potentially use higher sloped land. That is definitely more costly, more difficult to do, but it's not going to be as costly as these more expensive fossil options and biofuel options. Wind, this is all obviously very controversial, and Kahuku was quite a mess. They put the windmills much too close to housing. I think the rules have been changed there. There's much larger setbacks at this point, and Kahuku will be dismantled. But there's a fair amount of places where you could put wind, and I don't think it would really be upsetting to the local community. But again, that's something that needs a broader conversation where you actually look at what these sites are and what the trade-offs are. Next generation geothermal, I know there's lots of concerns about geothermal, but what people are talking about when they talk about geothermal is not like the Puna plant on the Big Island. If you're going to do geothermal here, it wouldn't be like that. It wouldn't have the health consequences, but the costs for that are still very uncertain. But these are things that may be options. When you're back at the last final 10-20%, technologies can be very different, and the menu of options are going to be very different. So why do you want to lock yourself in today for when you don't really know what the options are going to be in 20 years? Okay. This is what the optimal plan, one of the optimal plans. I think this one's completely unconstrained. A lot more solar than you see and grid scale solar than you see in IGP, and it's going to be considerably less expensive. We do have some hydrogen in here, but this is a very different hydrogen than importing it. This would actually be produced from otherwise curtailed solar energy when you have surplus in generation. And there's little slivers of it early on, and then a bit more later on. And plus the little biodiesel once you get to 2045. So the present value of savings that you're talking about, going from like the worst plan to the best plans, you're easily looking at tens of billions of dollars, at least an order of magnitude, and potentially much more than the value of Hawaiian Electric. And that's all benefits to consumers, to people, aside from the pollution. So what's the real problem? It's buying clean energy for a place that's committed to clean energy. It's amazing how difficult we make it for clean energy to get on the grid. First, rooftop solar. If you have rooftop solar, like I do, I get ridiculously cheap energy that's cross-subsidized by everyone else. It's incredibly unfair. So there's that problem. But not only that, I haven't even filled up half my roof. I don't get any benefit for exporting more than I consume myself. And so this is the only place I know where you actually get compensation for backfeeding that's less than Hawaiian Electric's avoided cost. They have an avoided cost of about 20 cents, and the most you can get might be 10 cents. Or you get nothing at all. And there's sharp limits on what you can backfeed. You can only offset your own bill. You can't get any surplus credit. So you really put a block on how much rooftop solar you can get. So rooftop solar here is probably cheaper than grid scale presently. And that's the only place I know of in the world where that might be the case. It's kind of unusual where rooftop solar is a cost-effective option potentially. Grid scale procurement. We have these incredibly complex RFPs that are written by Hawaiian Electric. You have the fox guarding the hen house. They don't want this stuff, and they have to write the RFPs to buy it. And so they're very difficult. And there's a long delays between bid, the approval, and the construction. Very high cancellation withdrawal risk from multiple fronts. And there's a lot of gaming given the types of the system it is. Everyone's trying to figure out what's the marginal land that you're going to buy? How much can I possibly get for solar on this land? And they think, well, maybe if land's really that constrained, I can get a much higher price than my actual cost. And so you might have won your contract at a pretty good price and you can make money with that. But if you think you can get a price that's 50% higher, you'll withdraw. So it's a really complicated system that doesn't procure energy fast or efficiently. So we have fewer projects. Okay. This is just a list of canceled projects. I don't think it's exhaustive, but there's 2 pages of them here. Much more projects are canceled than are followed through on, particularly here on Oahu. We have so little grid scale solar. More canceled projects. Okay, what's the solution? Just let people sell electricity at avoided cost. That's it. Now, the details of how you do that can be a little bit more complicated, but there's a docket open right now and a new rule by the Ledge that they will implement wheeling. Wheeling is basically access pricing to the grid. And this is the one thing that is proven to work historically. Telecommunications is a great example of that, where they had the long distance pricing wars for telephone service in the 80s and 90s, brought costs way, way, way down. And that was because they had access pricing, regulated pricing for third parties that use the grid to trade. You can use wheeling to do that. So just allow clean energy to sell at true avoided cost, provided regulated, non-discriminatory access to the grid. Use transparent computer-run dispatch models that actually set these prices. That would be effectively, they call it LMP, local marginal price. That is the true avoided cost at the moment at the time, and that's what you would pay. There would be no RFPs, no PPAs, much faster deployment because the high prices would start out high, and as more and more solar got on the grid, the prices would fall. So you'd want to get on quick because you could get the higher prices early. We'd have real competition and you'd lower prices over time. Okay, so I have a detailed draft of that I can share with people. It does get a little complicated in the weeds, but I don't know if that's good for this presentation. So LNG may look attractive, but only under very narrow assumptions. Fuel price risk and long asset lives create major downsides under realistic demand projections, especially. Hawaii's barrier is not the technology. We can already do this now very affordably. It's just the market design. It's the nature of our regulatory system. So letting clean energy compete at avoided costs can lower prices and emissions much, much faster. And there are less costly ways to support the utility than just trying to lock in capital that doesn't make any sense. And I think that's the motivation for all of this. Okay, thank you for your time and attention. I'm sorry we've run out over so much.
No, thank you, Michael and Matthias, for the great presentation. We are going to open the floor for questions to commissioners, but before we do that, I just want to take care of one administrative thing. So we are going to be deferring our discussion by Haley Cook from the Office of Climate Change, Sustainability and Resiliency on legislative priorities and the discussion follow-up discussion by the commissioners on our priorities and interests for ledge. That will be deferred to our March 2026 meeting. Okay. Director, Commissioner Olson.
Thank you so much. And thank you for deferring or allowing us to get through all of these technical presentations. I think it's very important that we have our kind of the science on the table and out in public, and these recordings hopefully will be really helpful for advocates and future analyses. I think the regulatory framework background was really interesting. Thank you, Dr. Roberts. And you've given some suggestions there, but it seems like there's structural issues that we really need to solve to pave the way. Is that something that in your report or writings will be made clear, what those might have to look like?
Yeah, we can try to address that as well as possible. It's, you know, this was the discussion that went on between like 2017 and 2020. I mean, I know our former commissioners worked very, very hard on trying to resolve that problem. And I think right now what we're seeing is that completely break. It didn't work. I do think that like Ulu Pono was a proponent, and I think they were probably right. They didn't leave enough room for Hawaiian Electric to profit under that cap. And they looked at that and they saw there's just no way we can make real money doing this. And then after you crush their valuation with the Maui fire, they see no way of climbing out of that. So, you know, how do you stabilize Hawaiian Electric? I mean, do you do it at something that costs a social cost of $20 billion to give them $1 billion or $2 billion? Especially when, you know, 3/4 of Hawaiian Electric is owned by institutional firms that are out of state. You know, so this is, you have to find another way to do that. And that's not up for me to decide. I do think that that's probably a higher level conversation. And there's probably ways to do that. But I think if you really want to get renewables on the grid, you've got to completely change the framework in which you're buying and selling electricity. This type of system would work. You could divest, have the utility divest itself of its generation assets and turn it into effectively an ISO. It would manage the grid. There'd be less of a conflict of interest. And you could pay them a lot for their assets. That might be one way to make them whole. Maybe more than they're probably really worth. That's what other places have done. They call it financialization. Buy out assets from utilities that, you know, there's examples of coal-fired power plants that are running at a loss on the mainland. Colorado had a bunch of these. They're losing money by burning coal, but they're doing it because they want to keep their assets used and useful and get their rate of return. So the state government bought out their power plants and used, you know, bonds, which is a much lower rate of interest, and saved everyone a lot of money by doing that. And then promised them that they could build other capital. So you could, you know, maybe Hawaiian Electric could build new transmission. We do need new transmission to areas where you'd want to put solar and wind. That makes sense. The transmission details are all confidential, of course, but we know that there's much more transmission that's needed to these new sites, and that would make, you know, more competition in a market, if that's what you were going to do, and start buying electricity like I've described. So that would be a big asset that they could build and get a rate of return on. So I think there are other options if you're creative in a more forward-looking way.
I have one other just a small question on the ag land maps that you showed. Do those include or exclude military lands?
That excluded military lands, and we know the military wants to build some, and Yeah, so that you can do different scenarios, but in Switch currently we exclude all the military land, and there's a lot. I mean, we should have plenty of land. The other thing too, panels are getting more efficient at a pretty rapid clip. And that also reduces land tremendously. So, you know, we probably only need 4%. If we did it all with grid scale, we need probably between 4 and 5% in today's efficiency levels to decarbonize the island. So, you know, you're not going to blanket the entire island. We have put another perspective on it. We have 128,000 acres of agriculture land on Oahu. We need 20,000 acres for solar if we were to decarbonize completely that way with today's efficiency levels. So, you know, it's important to keep the scale in mind. You probably do want to look at the individual sites, and you want to look at the way you're going to do it. There are a lot of options there, but I think you'll hear people say, I've heard Mark Blick and Rick Rocheleau will often say, it's impossible, there's no way we have enough land to do this on Oahu, and I just don't think that that's true. That's not factual.
And they're also vertical. I mean, you have vertical panels now for, right,
Yeah.
in the agrivoltaics.
Yeah, it's kind of, I mean, we haven't modeled that yet. It's something that I've talked to both Matthias, Sydney, and Ethan about, but they're really good studies on this where you put vertical panels, because now the panels are two-sided, and how do you get electricity on the backside of the panel? Well, you can put them vertically, and you don't get as much sun in the middle of the day, but early and late when it's most valuable, you do get it. And if you put them vertically, you know, you could run machinery in between, and it blocks the wind, and the crops often like that. So it's potentially a way to make agriculture economically viable that just isn't today on Oahu. And that's the biggest challenge. I mean, we want to grow locally, we want to bring agriculture back, but that's almost impossible economically. But maybe if you combined it with solar, you could.
Well, just finally, thank you so much to both of you, and to Sydney and Ethan. This was a fantastic presentation. Mahalo.
Yeah.
Thank you, Commissioner Olson. Commissioner Romine.
Thanks, Chair. And thank you, Michael and Matthias, very much for this really informative presentation. I have a question regarding deployment of battery storage. And I don't mean this to be contrary. It's really just more for my understanding on all this. Is the battery tech, so deploying all this solar is going to rely heavily on battery storage, as I'm understanding it. Is the battery technology, is it ready? Is it available to deploy today at utility scale and safely and resiliently? And do we have examples of battery storage being deployed at this scale yet for a population size comparable to Oahu? Thank you.
Yeah, well, we do. We have one of the biggest grid scale solar storage projects on Oahu right now. I think it's probably underutilized because they're using it, but you know, we have so little solar and so little variability right now. It's a little ironic that everyone's worried about variability before, you know, we're even at 30 or 40%. You know, we're nothing like California or Texas, but you have massive installations of batteries in California and in Texas. And we have a grid scale battery that can do a fair amount already. And we have distributed batteries that you could deploy. It's about half the size of the Kapolei project. So we have about, I think if you look island-wide, both grid scale and you know, and paired with solar farms, almost all the solar farms today are paired with battery already. So yeah, batteries are cheap today. When we first started talking about natural gas as a bridge fuel, that was before we had cheap batteries, but today they're already cheap, and they're prospectively getting a lot cheaper. So almost all of these studies that we're doing, they're pretty conservative. If you look at the technology projection, we're just beating projections every single year. It's just getting cheaper and cheaper, and that's especially true with battery technology. The only thing that makes it a little bit more expensive today is that, you know, we have these big tariffs We can't import, the cheaper batteries from China, but we make them domestically, and it's affordable and proven technology already. I don't know if Matthias wants to add to that.
I think, yeah, I was just going to say California and Texas, I think each have batteries on the scale of like 10 times the size of the Oahu power system. EVs have really driven the costs forward, but there's also newer technologies coming. I mean, those are good enough already. This is one of the challenges in this space is everyone's always waiting for us to invent something new to solve our problems. But like we have the technologies to solve our problems. We could fix this for cheap with solar and batteries at the price they are today with the manufacturing processes they use today. Like we're ready to go. We just have to do it. But they're getting cheaper, and there are also newer technologies that are like more suited to grid applications instead of EVs that could be cheaper and a little less fire prone. But even the EV batteries are pretty well managed for that.
Very helpful. Thanks for those responses. Really appreciate it.
Michael and Matthias, I just want to thank you both for your presentation. I appreciated you bringing up the option of agrovoltaics. I have been thinking about that for some time, really from the points that you've shared about meeting some of our food system goals, right? And then also some of our clean energy goals at the same time. I think with the increased heat, the shade that's provided by these PVs and the scale of food that we grow in Hawaii actually could make some sense. So I don't know who within our state or university system is studying this, but I do think that it would be useful to sort of project out what that viability would look like. I know we have a few examples in our state, and it would be good to maybe have some case studies to see how that has been working effectively, the co-benefits of that. One thing I wanted to ask, and I don't know if Dr. Olson brought it up, but I'm happy that you brought up the conversation of wheeling and expansion of distributed energy systems, like rooftop solar, really, right? When is your draft report anticipated to come out? I think just seeing what that looks like, right? Because we are very much tapped by what HECO will allow us to connect and export out, right? And a lot of that has to do with the age of the HECO infrastructure. But there are a lot of untapped assets, right, for rooftop solar. And I think a lot of us has been privileged to have rooftop solar, right? And I think we have to think about the whole equity about that, right? How do we distribute rooftop solar to to communities that may not have that sort of capital to take up that first cost, right? Or may not be presented investment options that make it truly viable. And so I think that's part of the missing conversation, but the bigger conversation, if we really want to sort of mobilize and look at sort of an equitable, sort of renewable future. So in short, curious about the timeline for that proposal. And then also if you have any thoughts on who might be studying agrovoltaics within the state or within island communities that are also kind of within our same climate zone as well and latitude, because I think that makes a difference from a heat and increased heat perspective.
Yeah, I know we do have some projects currently on Oahu for agrovoltaics. I think they're relatively small. I know people are studying them. I know McKenna Kaufman had one of her students, they published a study. So I'm not involved with the on the ground, proving the agriculture side of it right now. But what I think needs to be done for research, this won't be in our report, we'll probably point to it as a possibility. But it would be good, these systems, they're just learning, different designs of these systems. You can use it as shading for animals or for the crops, and you can also use it vertically. So there's lots of different configurations. And as you change the configurations, you change the nature of the energy that's supplied as well. I have a lot of confidence now that this is very viable. But the details of what it looks like are probably going to be organic and will evolve, but I think it would be interesting to look at some of these configurations and how it changes land use and how it changes the profile. When we do this modeling, we take actual weather and the actual locations where these sites are and what's going on with the solar panels. Are they single axis tracking? Are they tracking the sun? If you had them vertically, you know, how does this all work? How do you balance the whole system in real time? And that's what, you know, this modeling, that's what switch modeling does, is you really think seriously about balancing the grid in real time with all this variability and how you use the storage. So how does that work in an agrivoltaic system? There hasn't been a lot that puts all those pieces together with on the ground research. So that would take some partnering with people looking at the specific systems that they're looking at. But I do think it's still on the frontier. I mean, I read these articles all the time, and they're mostly very optimistic, I'll say. They look really promising that agriculture thrives often with solar panels. And I think more than people imagined. And also livestock, you know, raising animals underneath them can really be beneficial because they like the shade. So there's a lot of opportunities there modeling the full system, the integrated system. I haven't seen that done on a kind of a holistic scale. So I think that's something I'd like to do. The report that we're trying to do right now is just summarize all the issues that I just presented in Matthias, and trying to give a larger landscape so people see what the real issues are, what the real context is, and you know what the trade-offs are, and lay out these basic options for policy. I mean, I've talked about the idea of just allowing, you know, avoided cost credit. I spent a lot of time with Hawaiian Electric. We tried to negotiate a tariff for the University of Hawaii that would do this. Kind of a simple wheeling project. We started this in 2017 after a conference I put together, Governing Green Power, where we talked about these things in detail with all the executives and all the stakeholders. And Jim Alberts from Hawaiian Electric said, hey, let's make the University of Hawaii a poster child for this. We use it as an example. But when it gets to the details, they don't want anything like that. They do not want this type of pricing. It's creating competition. It creates access to the grid. It undermines their profit models. So they are trapped. They have to try to block this. That's their legal obligation, is to try to stop this from happening. So I don't quite know how you get around that. It's a frustrating thing. You can't talk about the elephant in the room. They get really upset when you do.
Thank you for your responses and for the interest.
I'll report. I'm sorry, I didn't answer your question.
Yeah,
I hope to get the report out within a couple weeks.
Okay.
That's you know, it's just going to be an overview of these issues and and get the landscape laid out. So
Wonderful. Thank you again, both of you. Commissioners, any other questions for Michael or Matthias? Okay,
I'm just gonna cede my time if there's any.
thank you. Dr. Fox, Director Fox, any questions from the office?
No, not at this time. I do have another meeting with another agency that I'll have to transition to as soon as I can. Thanks,
I
Chair.
know. Thank you. So team, gang, we're at 12:03 and we want to thank everyone for hanging out for so long with us. We have a few questions, and so I'm going to go first to James Pakele. James, we suggest a 3-minute question, and then those in the chat, if you could just raise your hand, I think that would be the most efficient way to go through at this time. Thank you.
How's it? You guys, can you hear me?
We can hear you, James. Yes.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Hi. I'm gonna be that guy in the room. I was listening to the presentation, a lot of information, very interesting. I've been kind of studying and looking, and I think I can fill in the other elephant in the room that Michael has been looking for. It's the pricing and why the pricing on the fuel is, he can't figure it out. We get the crude that comes in, they process it, they make the jet fuel, they make the diesel the same way how Wayne described. And then what's left over, we get this LSFO. And we pipe that from Campbell to the power plant. Except it's not priced as something that is a residual fuel that gets piped from Campbell to the power plant. It gets priced as if we shipped it in from Singapore. And it is it's pegged to the Singapore market. And that's why it doesn't follow Brent crude. It's called import parity pricing. In 2018, the second refinery shut down, so we became a one refinery town. In about 2019, they passed something called the ECRC, the Energy Cost Recovery Clause, that went through. In about 2020 or so, the refinery threatened and said, we're going to shut down if we can't get more money out of this. And so import parity pricing started. And that's when the prices went up. And in 2022, they shut down the coal plant, and you went from the cheaper coal to burning more import parity price LSFO that is piped from Campbell, but priced as if it's being shipped in from Singapore. That's the other elephant in the room that you're missing. And we've been doing that for a while. If you take your bill and you flip it over, it says energy cost recovery. Tell me if that's not the biggest number on your bill. That's the biggest number on your bill. And so I've been looking into this too. A lot of the work that I've been doing for years and years has been around housing affordability and yada yada. This is like the third biggest bill in everybody's house. I live in Waianae. A lot of the people here, we cannot afford the solar plus battery thing. So when people come in and they say, oh, we want to invest in the actual infrastructure, then that means something to me, because that means that everybody here that cannot afford the solar plus battery for their house, the people that cannot afford anything in the HECO, well, the people that can afford it, they just buy the solar plus battery, opt out, and not paying their bill anymore. You get a shrinking ratepayer base, and who's left to pay that? All the people that cannot afford to do that or opt out. So you get a shrinking ratepayer base, paying a larger and larger based on this, kind of decaying infrastructure. And so the people that can afford it least is the one that end up paying more and more and more. And we just stop. You get the people that came in with the solar, and they did all the leases and everything. They invested zero in infrastructure. They took everybody's lease and they leased solar to everybody. The money all left Hawaii. They paid zero in infrastructure, and then they left. The money left and they all left. And we still get 60-year-old, whatever. So, everybody can, not agree with me or whatever, but when somebody said they're going to come in and, invest and put money into actual infrastructure and help us build out infrastructure when the utility cannot, and they cannot, because they credit after Lahaina or whatever. You know what I mean? It starts to make a difference to me, because my bill when the AES closed went from $600 to about $900, $800, $900. That's what we pay for electric in my house. You can build, I see all the solar panels going up. I don't see the bill go down, not one. It's because regardless of how much solar went up, 70% of our electricity is still fueled by the residual fuel pumped from Campbell, but priced as if the thing is being shipped in. And you can do the batteries. I know you said it was cheap, but that Kapolei energy storage was $219 million to $300 million. Now, if the sun don't shine for 2 days and you try to replace Kahe, that's someplace between $7 and $10 billion. You got the math. So, I'm not talking forever, but I just saying that, there's a different perspective on this. And I was hoping that I could have filled in some of the blanks, because I know you didn't mention the fuel price, anything. The fuel price gets passed straight on to the ratepayers and the consumers. So, when you do the report and everything, look into that. Go on the AI, go on the Google. Don't believe anything I say. Who am I? I don't know nothing. Go research on. Thank you.
Thank you, James. Mateus, Robert, Michael, do you want to provide any comment, response to that? If
No,
not,
I agree with everything that he's saying there. I do think that And yes, the price is indexed. What's unusual right now in the global market is that the spread between the Singapore, the South Asia spread between low sulfur fuel oil and Brent is unusually large. And so, yes, they're getting this unusually high price, and it's probably doesn't really reflect their cost. You know, you could argue about that a long time, but I believe that index, we shouldn't expect that index to stay that far apart forever. It looks like it's declining, and it is unusually the spark spread between the low sulfur oil and Brent is unusually large and has been unusually large since 2022. So with some luck, that'll shrink, and it probably will, because there's a bit of a glut on the oil market, and as world oil prices fall as they have, that spread tends to decline. So from what I can see, and I'm not the only one, but it does make sense. And that's what the Facts Global Energy also predicts, is that spread is going to decline. And since that is an indexed price, our low sulfur fuel oil should get cheaper. We'll probably go back to the conventional or the historical spread rather than what it is currently. That doesn't make it cheap. It's still very, very expensive. But the other way we can, you know, what I've described in terms of wheeling and in terms of letting people sell more solar back from their rooftops should be able to start lowering bills for everyone else. And so I think there are solutions to that problem besides just, you know, bringing in LNG, certainly not just bringing in LNG or rebuilding the power plants.
So, I mean, James, you touched on quite a lot of things. But yeah, I mean, oil's expensive. It's expensive in Singapore. It's expensive in Hawaii. It's not clear that like there's going to be a formula for cheap oil for Hawaii. Like as demand decreases, as people use more EVs and as HECO hopefully moves off of oil, they may need to switch to importing, you know, jet fuel and small amounts of LSFO. Like it may not be sustainable to keep with this current formula. But any which way, it makes a lot of sense to decrease, you know, decrease by 90%, 95% the amount of oil that's being used. I understand what you're saying about, okay, we've seen solar going in, we've seen batteries going in, but nobody's bills are coming down. And I think some of it, I think you talked about was about rooftop solar and net metering. And net metering, I hate to say it, but it wasn't necessarily a great idea. It's a good policy for sort of kickstarting things. You're basically paying extra to people for their solar and giving them a reason to do it early on, using the grid as a battery for free. But you can only do that for a little while to kickstart things. And if you keep going until you have a large share of power coming from people's rooftops, you end up creating these huge cross subsidies where everyone who has solar is getting a great deal and everyone who doesn't is kind of helping pay for those. And people realized that was a problem a while ago now, 5 or 10 years ago now. And unfortunately, they adopted the wrong solution. Like they kind of stuck with a limited amount of net metering, but they said, okay, nobody's going to be allowed to backfeed, and we'll just kind of lock it in at that point. And a much better solution would have been to say, okay, we're going to stop net metering, or we're going to have net metering, but it's going to be at a sort of real-time cost. So you'll get paid less for your power during the day, maybe, but you can backfeed as much as you want if it's worth it, you know, if it's cheaper than oil. And you'll pay more at night when we're burning more fossil fuel. Some kind of solution like that, which is similar to what Michael described with wheeling, but on a small customer basis, would have been a lot better answer. But instead, it just kind of all got shut down, which is really frustrating because you've locked in these very high costs for the customers who do stay on the grid, and people can still avoid really high costs by jumping off the grid. Like even if they're not backfeeding, they're avoiding their share of all these extra costs. Like we've been showing you costs on the order of 10 cents a kilowatt hour, but your bill is 30, 40, 50 cents a kilowatt hour. And a lot of that is the kind of the rest of the costs in the grid, and you can avoid those by self-providing with solar, which you shouldn't necessarily be able to do. So there's a lot needs to be done, but like we shouldn't ignore the cheap solutions because they haven't delivered yet. We need to figure out why they're not delivering and harness that opportunity for people.
Nicely said, Matthias. I want to ask, we have a few comments in the chat, but it appears that people are addressing that. I want to ask if Sydney, Lene, and who else? Apologies. I saw it earlier. Sydney and Lene, if there are any questions that you want to bring up to Michael or Matthias, if so, please raise your hand.
And Cynthia, Chair, I think, is the other person who asked a question.
And Cynthia, thank you. Thank you. Yes, Cynthia, thank you, Commissioner Otsuka. Sydney, yes.
Hi, thank you so much everyone for your time and thoughts. It's been super great to hear what everyone has to say, and I really appreciate Lene and what they've shared. And I would love to kind of continue that conversation because I think it's a really important tension in Hawaii and in our conversations about agriculture and land use and energy. And so yeah, I would love to hear more about that. And I would love to study how we can, move forward with ag and with voltaics and including kind of community and people who are actually working in the INA in those conversations. So I just want to say I appreciate that engagement.
Great, thank you, Sydney. I think we'll have ongoing conversation about that, but maybe that's another topic that we bring to the commission is looking at this agrivoltaics in relation to some other topics that we're discussing. So with that said, I just want to thank you, Michael and Matthias, for an excellent presentation. It was very informative. I do apologize for the bit of the time crunch we're doing. We always underestimate how much time these presentations and discussions will yield, and so we always try to do better. But we never know. So thank you for just working with us. If you don't mind maybe sharing your contact information with the people in the audience, I'm sure they have more follow-up questions and interests that they would like to discuss with you, and it just kind of helps to keep the conversation going. With that said, we are again deferring agenda items on the presentation on legislative priorities for the City and County Climate Change Sustainability Resiliency Office, in addition to our discussion as commissioners. And so I guess the most important thing I want to note is that our next commission meeting is March 27th at 9 a.m. It will be a hybrid meeting as most on Zoom and in our conference room. So we encourage you to attend. Please continue to watch the Resilience Office's website. Commissioners, if it's fine, I'm just going to defer the remaining items out of the essence of time. And thank you all for attending. Have a good, safe weekend. Happy Chinese New Year. Kuhi Fa Choi, Shinian Kwaila. We'll see you all in March. Goodbye.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, CCSR. Thank you, speakers. Thanks, members of the public.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Michael and Matthias.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.